guys. I'm Danny Johnson, CEO at TPP, The Positive Porpoise.
I'm Jason Miller from Fins Up SoCal Fan Club.
I'm Scott Howell from Atlanta Dolphin Club.
Mark Angelo, NorCal Dolphin Club.
And you're listening to Clock Blockers, Miami fans' #1 morning show.
Run it, 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 run it.
I got one little fight. My mom got scared. She says, "Your mom, what's it, auntie and uncle in Bel Air?" Man, that one little fight, boy, that turned into, woo. Good morning, good morning, good morning. What's up, ladies and gentlemen? This is the #1 Miami fan morning show, Clock Blockers. I'm your host, Stephen D. Super excited to be hanging out with you this morning. And, hey, man, look, I'm here. Running a little late, running a little behind this morning, but hey, I'm here. Happy Monday to you, March 28th. What is going on? Hey, Charlie Murphy, what did the 5 fingers say to the face? Smack! I'm telling y'all right now, last night, whatever happened, and we'll get into it a little bit, was made for Twitter. Like, Twitter was made specifically for that last night. You can't tell me nothing else. You can't tell me nothing else. First of all, I want to say good morning to my Finlaws and my family, my Finlaws. What is up? Super excited that y'all are hanging out here with me. Again, I'm your host, Stephen D. Stephen Daniels. You can follow me on social media at Stephen D. SKPL. Spread kindness, positivity, and love, although there was not a lot of that going around last night. But we'll get into that a little bit more. Hey, if you want to follow Miami Sports Music on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram, make sure you follow them at Miami Sports Music. Also follow them on Twitter at MIA Sports Music. Make sure, if you haven't done so already, hit that like button on your way in. Over 40 of y'all watching. Only 12 likes. Hit it. Let's go. We can't grow without y'all, so hit the like button. Subscribe to the channel. Let's go, let's go, let's go. Also, hey, if you haven't done so already, sign up. Become a member to the channel. Become a member, not just a subscriber. Join up. Sign up. Become a member today. There are plenty of seats at the table waiting for you. Okay, so make sure you guys do that. All right? Also, yeah, again, hit the like button. Share the video. Hey, if you want to donate to the channel and help the channel grow, there's lots of different ways you guys can do that. First way you guys can do that is use the YouTube Live Super Chat, which is the $ down at the bottom of the chat. You guys can use that. You guys can also use Cash App, which is $ MSM Podcast Network, or PayPal MSM Podcast Network. Hey, want to give a big shout out to our sponsor of the show, Tail Greeter. Tail Greeter, absolutely an amazing sponsor of the show. They got a lot of stuff that's going on. I know football season's over, but that doesn't mean the tailgate doesn't stop. Make sure you download the app today on your current Apple or Android device, and make sure you follow them on social media at Tail Greeter, at TAILGREETER. Make sure you follow them today on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, TikTok. Better go do all of it. Go follow Tail Greeter today. They are awesome. The tailgate doesn't stop. Download the app today, okay? Also, if you guys donate $10, every $10 donation. So if it's 10, that's 1. If it's 20, that's 2. If it's 30, that's 3. Every $10 increment of a donation is going to get you drawn in to win this bad boy. This Javon Holland autographed jersey. I know you like it. I know you like it. Courtesy of ZSM Sports. Make sure you follow them on Instagram, ZSM Sports. Absolutely amazing. Zachary's got a lot of really cool signings that he does. They're all certified. Every $10 donation between now and the end of the month. And by the way, the end of the month is Thursday. So between now and Thursday, we're going to do the drawing on Friday to see who wins that bad boy. And let me tell you, man, we're about $400, $500 away from reaching our monthly goal. So, hey, donate to the channel, help the channel grow. And remember, you guys can be signed in or entered in with every $10 donation to win this Javon Holland jersey. If you guys donate on Cash App or PayPal, I double your entries. So make sure you guys do that. Every donation that was $10, that's one. $20, two. $30, three. So make sure you guys do that today. And just so you know, ZSM Sports has a really cool private autograph signing coming up. Patrick Surtain and Sam Madison. If you're interested in getting some cool autograph memorabilia from these guys, make sure you hit up ZSM Sports today on Instagram. Make sure you check that out. All right, before I get started, I just want to promote something that I got going on tonight. Tonight, you think the morning show is big. Tonight is a huge show. Tonight is a huge show. Okay, so tonight I have Dougley Do Wrong, TD Fins Talk, Big E from Dolphins Talk, and myself, and maybe, just maybe, I'm waiting on a couple of more responses, a surprise special guest, one or two. We're going to do a Dolphin chat, FinLaw YouTubers chat. We're going to talk about running a YouTube channel. We're going to talk about the Miami Dolphins off season. But it should be so much fun. I am so excited. It's going to be at 9:15 p.m. Eastern Time. 9:15 p.m. Eastern Time. TD Fins Talk, Dougley Do Wrong, Big E from Dolphins Talk, and myself so far, and maybe one or two other guests. They get back to me. So we'll see what happens. I am super excited about this. It's going to be an amazing show. It'll be just, look, guys just chilling together, having fun, talking about what we talk about the best, which is the Dolphins. All right? All right. Without further ado, what a crazy night last night. And I have a co-host in here this morning, and I got somebody else coming in a little bit later. So I'm super excited about both of these guys coming in. But the man, the myth, the legend, I had to bring him in after what happened last night. It's pop culture. I had to talk about it. And this man is pop culture. This man is Miami. This man is hip hop. I'm talking about, y'all know him. Y'all love him. I know I love him. Lorenzo Ice-T Thomas. What's up, Lorenzo?
What's going on, Steve? How you doing, man? Good morning.
And I'm doing better than the side of Chris Rock's face this morning.
Ooh, what did the five fingers say to the face? Smack! The smack heard all around the world last night, man.
I mean,
it's crazy.
Man, it is unbelievable. So, first of all, thank you for joining me this morning.
Oh, my pleasure, my pleasure.
For those of you who don't know, Lorenzo Ice-T Thomas has the best internet radio station. Tell them about it real quick, Lorenzo.
Well, the station is 100 Hip Hop and R&B FM. It is a digital radio station which can be heard on iHeart, Alexa, Odyssey, all the major platforms, iTunes, Spotify. We got a playlist on there. Also, you can hear it on Roku. If you have an Amazon Fire Stick, if you have one of these, all you have to do is hold down.
See, you got paused. You got paused, Lorenzo. You paused it. You pressed it down, and there you went. And there you went. You went away. That's all right. We'll get back on here. We'll get Lorenzo back up here in a minute. Lorenzo, go out and come back in because I can't hear you or see you. Here, matter of fact, I'll do this, and maybe it'll entice him to go out and come back in. We'll see what happens. All right. Hey, look. So last night was crazy. Last night was, man, I was minding my business. Yesterday, I was super excited about the day. Was super excited. Was like, man, we got spring training baseball, and there was just a lot of really, really cool stuff going on with that. And then, we had the Elite Eight yesterday. The 2 p.m. game started with Miami, and we'll get into Miami losing, unfortunately. And then we'll get into, the UNC game at 5 o'clock. We had the NASCAR race, a wild finish. Then we had, last night, USA Soccer was playing last night. It was just insane. So sports was great yesterday. I enjoyed the sports up and down. And then not to mention this morning, the NFL's owners meeting started. And we're going to get into a little bit of that too, because there's already some news coming out of Palm Beach, which is where it was at. So we're going to get into that a little bit too. But let me bring in my man Lorenzo back in here dude, as soon as you were talking about pressing a
as soon as I hit the fire stick, it was like, I'm out of here.
They were like, don't mess up. Don't mess up. Okay.
It had to be. Well, let's get into it.
I stopped watching the Oscars a couple of years ago. Like, it just, ever since the whole Kevin Hart drama, I just was like, all right, I'm not dealing with this. All right. It wasn't even fun to watch anyway.
Right.
And then all of a sudden, I'm a Twitter guy. I like Twitter. I enjoy Twitter. And then it just blew up. Like, it went crazy.
Yeah.
What happened with you last night? Because I know people were hitting you up.
Yeah, definitely. It's funny because I'm watching the Oscars, and first and foremost, I'd have to say, great job by Will Packer. He was basically in charge of production for the show. First time, as far as I know, an African American was in charge of the Oscars. So I'm watching it, and within the first 45 minutes, me being a black man, I'm looking at the Oscars and like, wow, I'm seeing a lot of color in the first 45 minutes. So it was obvious. And then someone texted me and said, hey, Will Packer's in charge of it. So I said, okay, wow. So then I get a text from someone, that sends me the standings of the NBA Eastern Conference. Yeah. And of course, the Miami Heat have had a terrible week. So they want to get in a debate with me whether or not they are they losing on purpose because they don't want the number one seed. And if you're a Heat fan, we're not losing on purpose. No, we wouldn't. At least not the way we lost to Brooklyn. You know what I'm saying?
Real quick, the joke that's been circling on Twitter is that the Dolphins traded in, the Dolphins, all of a sudden, the hype is real. But in order to get that, we had to give up the Heat doing good. So there had to be a trade-off. We can't have everything in South Florida.
Well, we could, if we want to talk Heat, we could talk that later on. But I'm mentioning that because I got a text message in the middle of the Oscars from someone that wanted to talk that. I said, listen, man, I can't talk about that. I'm watching the Oscars. And then he went in on me like, oh, so you all caught up in that? You watching the Oscars? Basically like you saying that I can't watch the Oscars anymore. And I said, you know what? I have to watch this so I can have an understanding of what's happening with pop culture. I have to report on it. I do some work for Celebrity Page TV. I have my own digital radio station. So I have to sit here and watch the Oscars so I can be well informed. And then the smack heard all around the world. And at first I was shocked. I was like, wait a minute. And then on TV here, they muted it so you couldn't hear the audio. So at first with the smack, you're thinking it's part of a bit or something. Chris is up there. Will Smith comes up. Did he really punch him? Did he really smack him? Or did they act it out and plan it? So all of this is going on. And I went straight to Twitter to see if anything was trending. Nothing was trending yet. Right. I went straight to Twitter, went to Facebook, IG, nothing yet. Right. So then I rewound the tape because I'm recording it. And then I could see and read Will Smith's lips when they put the camera on him. You couldn't hear the audio based on what was streaming here in the United States. You could read his lips. Then I took out my phone. I said, okay, I got to record this. I got to post this online. And I just did something real quick where I basically said, hey, read Will Smith's lips. This is telling you that it was not a joke. It was not staged. It was real. And then someone sent me a link from Australia where they basically streamed the audio with everything aired. And then you really knew right then and there that Will Smith had enough. He was upset with Chris Rock. And of course, we can go into details about how long this has been going on between Chris Rock and Jada and Will Smith. This is not just a one-time thing. A lot of people think that, oh, yeah, he was justified for going after Chris because he said something about Jada last night. No, this is going back some way. So we could talk a little bit about that as well. But I was actually shocked, surprised, hurt, disappointed, proud. All of the emotions that you can think of, I have been experiencing them all morning. And I even put a post out there, and the post basically said, I'm paraphrasing here, is like, is it possible to really take a side between either Chris Rock or Will Smith during this Oscar fiasco? Because if you are a grown ass man and you have a wife, You can understand, and Will said this within his speech where he was talking about how he felt as if he needed to protect all the girls that were on the set for the movie King Richard, how he has to feel as if he has to defend his wife. But then if you're a comedian and you've been someone like yourself, anyone who's been on stage hosting the function and tries to tell a joke that goes wrong, we've all been there. You know what I mean? So it's kind of hard to say, was Chris Rock wrong? Was Will Smith wrong? I just think it's unfortunate that on a night where you had Will Packer, a Black African-American producer of the Oscars, some people are going to look at it and say, there they go, acting like again. So that's what's unfortunate about it.
I think there was two things. Number one, that stood out. By the way, we got Nikki Smokes in the back room. I'm going to bring him on here momentarily. But what I do want to say is a couple things. Number one, Sidney Poitier was the last African-American actor to win Best Actor award.
Yeah, right.
Sidney Poitier, not right. Denzel, there's a million.
Are you sure about that? Sidney Poitier was the last because Denzel won for Training Day.
No, Denzel won Best Supporting Actor for Training Day. I don't think he won. Sidney Poitier, that I am aware, is the last African-American actor to win the
I'm gonna have to look that up. I have to look that up. Okay, but go ahead. Make your point.
Either way, even if it was Denzel, there's been one since Sidney Poitier. So Will Smith being another one is such a huge, momentous moment in pop culture, in film history, and in Hollywood.
Correct.
And so when it happened, everybody was like, is this staged? And I'm like, I don't think so. Because I don't think that Will Smith would have wanted this night to overshadow him potentially winning and it being as big as it is. Because people aren't talking about him winning the best award.
Right.
They're talking about the smack that what I also thought was interesting, that as soon as Chris Rock was smacked, he said, he noted it. He's like, that was the biggest moment in television history.
Yeah.
Like he knew as soon as it happened what just happened. Like he was able to compute that in his mind. That was like, oh wow.
And you have to give him credit for holding his composure as well, because I know quite a few comedians that would have. Just think about what happened when Markieff Morris, did what he did in the Miami Heat game and then turned his back, right? What did Will Smith do? Slapped him and just turned his back and walked away. Yep. I know a lot of comedians would not have stood there. And if you ask any comedian today, all of them would probably say 100% or 99.5% of them will say that Will Smith was wrong, because that's what they do. They tell jokes. And you're going to turn your back and walk away after slapping somebody? Chris Rock deserves a whole lot of credit, because it could have been really ugly on that stage.
Oh yeah, 100%, 100%. And so, it's weird. All right, so you were right. I went back and looked, and Denzel won in 2001 for Training Day.
Best actor, correct?
Yep. And then Jamie Foxx won in 2004 for Ray Charles.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And then Forrest Whitaker won in 2006 for The Last King of Scotland.
Last King of Scotland, correct.
And then obviously Will Smith won here for King Richard. But it's still a big.
But Stephen, your point is, when you think of the Oscars, you think of the class and sophistication of a Sidney Poitier.
Correct. Yeah.
And he must be.
And everybody's like, why are you guys talking about this on a sports show? Because I think it's prevalent in pop culture, and sports is pop culture.
Correct. You notice how you saw how I tied the sports into it, right? You saw how I pulled that out, right?
I did. But I thought it was at least touching on a look, because look, Twitter went off on it last night. Like it was insane.
Right.
And speaking of somebody who's big on Twitter, let me pull him into the conversation. Y'all know him. He's big everywhere. I love this guy. His reactions over this past week have been crazy, and we'll talk about that a little bit later in the show. My man, Nikki Smokes. What's up, baby? How are you doing?
What's going on, brother? How we doing?
How are you doing, man? Nikki, I don't know if you've met Lorenzo. Have you met Lorenzo?
Yeah, no, we were on together last time I was on the show.
Yeah, I remember that. Hey, Mickey, how you doing?
I'm just
I'm
bringing.
doing
I'm
good.
bringing
I got a
greatness
question.
down
I got a question for you, Lorenzo. I love
Okay.
the background setup, but how many of
Oh,
those books have you
thank you.
actually read?
Oh man,
Let's
he
see.
calling
I
you out,
have
Lorenzo.
read the Russell Simmons. I've read the Muhammad Ali, the Chuck D. I am presently reading the Will Smith book. I have read I would say about 50% of them, 50 to
There you go.
60% of them up here.
There you
You
go.
notice he named
We're talking
four
about the
books.
Cool Millions. In that book, Will Smith talks about how his strategy was after, what was his first? I can't think of his first film. Was it Independence Day? I don't know. But it was something about Independence Day where he said that he and James Lasseter sat down and said, these movies about space, the next frontier are going to be big going forward. So that's why you have seen over the years Will in so many movies that have dealt with, space, like Independence Day. And then he tried with the Wild Wild West. And then he did, he's in the iRobot. Different movies like that seem to do very well in Hollywood. So actually that book, Cool Millions, is one that I have read. So therefore, you can get a lot of information out of these books. Men Are from Venus, Women from Mars, the Barack Obama book I've read. Yeah. The Mueller report I didn't get through. That's up here too. The Mueller report is up there as well. I didn't read that entire thing.
You notice he just naming big books, Nick. He just naming big books. He's like, I read this. I read that. Look, they told us reading was fundamental in school. That's why I decided to get into YouTube.
Nah, he tried to call me out there, say I didn't, but some of them I haven't. Like, let's see, which one I haven't read yet. The Howard Stern book is here. Here he comes again, Howard Stern, and I have not read that one. And it's Charlemagne, Black Privilege. I have not read that one as well. They were actually gifts.
I smoked last night. Did your phone blow up when the whole Oscars mess happened? Real quick. I just want to finish up at least.
I didn't even know the Oscars happened last night. I woke up this morning and I just saw my timeline in disarray. I thought it was hilarious when I saw it at first. I thought it was a joke. I was like, "There's no way."
That's what a lot of people
walked up there and slapped them. I see both sides. I think Will Smith kind of looked like a clown there, just because when he told the joke, he started laughing at it, and then it was more so like his wife was like, "You got to go do something about this." And then he just walked up there, 5-starred him right in his face. And then all of a sudden, he went from laughing at the joke to cursing him out, telling him to keep his wife's mother effing name out of his mouth. And I don't know, like Will gets it. He's been in comedy his whole life. Like that's what Kid Rock does. It was just Chris Rock. I'm sorry. It was just, I thought he overreacted. I thought it was a joke.
Look, I'll say this. I think it's very interesting to get different. So I was on Twitter Spaces last night with Uncle Luke, and I was also on with I cannot think of her name. Dara. She used to she ran the entire MTV Awards back in the day for like 8 or 9 years. She was on with Uncle Luke. I was on that platform and I was talking with them. And obviously that kind of took over everything. And I'm going to hopefully get Uncle Luke on the morning show too, which I'm pretty excited about. I
want to join y'all tonight, man. Come on, I need to come back for that.
But the cool thing is just talking about that is it's interesting how we tie in pop culture to sports. And let's bring it full circle since this is a sports morning show. I think when anything happens big in pop culture, it was really interesting to see the players' reactions to it on Twitter last night too.
Oh yeah.
And there was a lot of Dolphins and a lot of Miami. Like it was crazy because Miami's kind of crazy right now, right? Like the city of Miami's in like a state of craziness because of spring break. They're closing early. You got the Heat that are, I don't know what's going on with them, but they're just dropping the ball. They're no longer in first place in the East. That team from all the way up north in Boston is. We got the Florida Panthers that are the best team, arguably the best team in hockey, and the Miami Dolphins making the best offseason moves, arguably top 5 in all NFL offseason history.
History, yeah. Yes, history.
I mean, like it's crazy how good they're being right now. And so it's a crazy time. So Twitter was really fun I really mean this. Last night moments on Oscars were like Twitter is at its best. And there was some great, because even Dolphin fans got into making memes about when when a Tua talks about, or when somebody talks about Tua, this is how you react.
Mm-hmm. Or even
it was really good.
Some memes were made about Jawan Howard, who recently smacked someone, and Jawan and Will Smith look similar. So that was funny as well, because there were a lot of memes out there like that. But it's interesting, Nikki, I understand your take. The athletes that I saw basically were behind what Will Smith did. They were like, look, and I think some people have to understand how far back this goes. Okay, you got to remember back in 2016 when Chris was hosting the Oscars, Jada Pinkett was boycotting the Oscars, and he said a joke about Jada, saying something like, well, Jada Pinkett Smith boycotting the Oscars is like me boycotting Rihanna's panties.
Yep,
I wasn't invited. Okay, that was the joke. Okay, so he took, and then he came back and said, yeah, Will Smith is not nominated this year, but I disagree with the fact that Will Smith got paid $20 million for Wild Wild West. So those were his jokes, right?
I mean, by the way, that joke's not wrong. He got paid $20 million for one of the worst movies of all time, but that's neither here or there.
But that was the joke, right?
I got you.
So then there was this. What people forget is Jada and Chris Rock went on a date back in the day. Jada came out publicly and said that the date was whack, right? It was nothing. So then Chris also mentioned something about her in one of his specials. So that's another time. And from what I know, I'm not sure, I didn't hear this. After that, Will Smith had said something to Chris Rock in reference to it, right? After that special, in reference to basically not saying anything about my wife. Now, here you come, basically, if you say 2016, 2018, 2022, and he's still talking about your wife. It's like, listen, as a comedian, I think there's about, 1 or 2 times is fine, but 3 times on the biggest stage on his night where he's nominated for an Oscar, you're still talking about my wife, dog?
And to like, the last thing I want to say to Nikki's point, because I want to get into sports, and I know people want to get into the sports talk. I will say that he was laughing at it, but as a man who's in a marriage and been married for over 10 years, all I have to do is look at my wife and know what the cue is when something is not going the way it's supposed to be going, or I am not acting accordingly. And so I have no problem with him laughing at it and then looking over to his wife and saying, "Oh, she's pissed."
And the pain that was on her face, and she came out and said that you're
shaking your head, no, Nikki. Why? Why are you?
But you got to.
He slapped the wrong person. He should have slapped the guy that was sleeping with his wife.
The thing is, everyone's saying that. Everyone is saying that, but no one knows. But no one knows what has happened behind closed doors. We don't know what type of conversation they had about that.
What happened with Augustine?
Don't know.
And she's come out publicly and said that they never slept together. Now, that's debatable. That's neither here nor there. I'm not getting into all that. I'm not entertainment Hollywood.
Yeah, but I also want to stress the point, Stephen. But I want to stress the point that for any man who, and you've been married for 10, I've been married for going on 11 years, and especially during these last 2 years, there's so many people that are dealing with depression and mental health issues, especially men. And for him to have to be supportive of his wife while she's going through this alopecia situation where she says for the first time she discovered it, and she's quoting that she was terrified when she was taking a shower and all of a sudden just hair comes out of her head, comes off her head. It's in her hands. And for us men, we may not be able to understand and be empathetic and understand how she's dealing with that. She was basically in tears. So now experiencing that, and then you see that same pain on your wife's face at that time, and the joke about the G.I. Jane thing, because Chris may not have known she was dealing with alopecia. He just saw a bald-headed woman.
Let me interrupt. That's where so everything is sent through the writers. There's a writer's room. Now, Chris came in with his own writers, guaranteed that happened, right? But what should have happened is all jokes still have to go through that head writer of the show, that person who clears it. Mm-hmm. And what should have happened is that was on the job of them to say, no, this is not a good joke. We shouldn't do this. Correct. That didn't happen. And B, I also think, and this is just an assumption, that, look, if there had been that much animosity and craziness over the years, like, I think he knew as soon as he said the joke, he regretted it, because you could see him started saying, "Oh, it was a joke.
It wasn't that bad. It wasn't that
It
bad.
wasn't that bad."
No. Right.
You saw like her reaction, and he I think he instantly regretted, like, oh,
right.
maybe,
Right. But
maybe
I am not
went
justifying Will Smith's actions of going up on stage and slapping him.
And the very last thing I'll say to this, I keep on saying that, but it's a good conversation. The very last thing I'll say to this is, the only thing I love comedy. I love comedy. And somebody said this last night, and I thought it was a really interesting take. It was a comedian on Twitter. I can't remember who said it. But they go, what happened? This now gives people a thumbs up that if they don't like a joke in a comedy, platform, if they're at a laugh, the Laugh Factory, or, a comedy store or whatever, that somebody can go up and now slap somebody. So now comedians have to worry about somebody slapping them because Will Smith made it okay.
No,
I think people have more sense than that, but I do think comedians are now going to, second guess what they say about certain people, especially if they're there.
I mean, what Will probably should have done, should have stood up, because he can project and just scream at him from his seat and just say what he had to say from there. And he could have handled that situation much better. He could have stood up, said what he had to say, and say, hey, and without the expletives, he could have done that, and we wouldn't be talking about it right now.
You know who did stand up and say something this week? Let's get into the sports talk. My man Smokes said some wildness this week on dude, you. All right, so first let me get into it. So the craziness that we had last week was unreal, right? Tyreek getting traded.
Yeah.
Just you feeling the way that you were feeling about the Dolphins before that. And for those of you who don't follow Nicky on Twitter, he's got some, and social media period, he's got some great stuff. So just kind of break down the week for me that you had, Nicky, and just like I'll play some of your reactions as you're breaking it down, because they were really good this week.
It was actually hilarious. And I'm so convinced that Chris Greer had to see my video. And he's like, let me get on the phone and make something happen, because I'm seeing all these teams trade for quarterbacks, star wide receivers, great defensive players to get you into the playoffs. So this is after Tyreek Hill. But I had a video before that of me just ripping Chris Greer. I'm saying, you need to level up. It's been 20 years. You haven't done your job, blah, 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 blah. Like, you're horrendous. Grilling him. I'm telling him Raheem Mostert isn't aggressive enough, which, by the way, he was one of my favorite signings that he did make. But, like, I'm expecting us to make a splash, get to that next level. You see all these teams in the AFC, they're competing. They're building teams for a championship. So when I see just Raheem Mostert and Chase Edmonds, I'm like, this isn't enough to get us there.
This is not
Now that we got Tyreek Hill and we signed Tehran, I'm like, whoa. Now those two running back signings, they look way better than they did before. So I go out there, I drop a gigantic rant of me just ripping Greer. The next day, we have Tyreek Hill and Tehran Armstead on our team.
And this is your reaction. We'll play this. Now, just so you know, somebody needs to pay for Nicky's swear jar this morning, because he goes a little crazy.
You should show the first one of me ripping Greer, and then play that one, because they were like a day apart, maybe a day or two apart. Keep going down. You'll see it. Yeah, there's a lot of action on that Twitter page.
Dude, your timeline was crazy this week, bro.
It was wild.
Insane.
I mean, I've never been so excited. I mean, there it is. That's it right there.
Here it goes. All right, let me play this one
first. I love this team so much.
Can you all hear it?
Unfucking believable.
Is this it? Can you all hear it?
That I love this team so much. I wish I could just sit back and accept it and be like, oh, there's nothing I can do. I'm just going to keep supporting my team. Obviously, I'm going to keep supporting this fucking team, but this team is fucking killing me. I'm only 22. I get it. You guys want to say I'm young, but you older heads, right? You paid your fucking dues and still haven't got shit. Watson's going to the AFC. Now what? Now fucking what? The AFC has 8 elite fucking quarterbacks. We got fucking Tua, who's still a question mark. Goddamn Burrow just played in the Super Bowl. Herbert was Rookie of the Year. Now we got Watson, Wilson, Allen twice, Mahomes, Chris Greer. Are you still fucking sleeping? What'd you do 2019? Tank for what? Tua, AJ, Igbo, 0-for-3, brother, 0-for-3. What'd you say this year? We're going to go big. We're going to be aggressive. Raheem Mostert is not fucking aggressive. Level the fuck up. I'm tired of this shit.
Oh my God,
2 days
dude.
later, Tyreek kills a Miami Dolphin.
So first of all, I just want to say I was laughing my butt off watching it, right? So 2 days later, we all know what goes down. We have 2 major sightings. And then this is your reaction because it is gold. It is gold.
Tyreek Hill down the sideline. That's another Miami Dolphins touchdown. Oh my God. Check my fucking pulse. I'm about to have a fucking stroke. Chris Greer for gold. Oh my God.
Chris Greer for gold.
24 hours. Check my fucking pulse. Let's fucking go. Tyreek Hill.
Just so you know, you owe to the swear jar this morning, Nikki. But oh my God.
That was great, Nikki. Great.
That's just raw emotion. My dad watches my videos and he's like, son, I love your energy. I love your passion. You should probably stop using the F word so much so more people will watch it. I was like, I can't even help it. I was so excited. I couldn't believe it, man. And that came out of nowhere. That was the craziest part.
Dude, so, number one, I want to say that although I didn't agree with quite everything you were saying, I got your emotion, especially, and I'm saying in the first
totally,
and I think that a lot of Dolphin fans shared your emotion, and I think Dolphins fans in general wear their hearts on their sleeve.
We do.
And I think that was a clear definition of I'm wearing my heart on my sleeve. I love my team, but oh my God, I'm so sick of it. And then to make the decisions that they made with Teron Armstead, with Tyreek Hill, with saying F those draft picks, not really, being exactly what you said you were going to be in Indianapolis. You told us you were going to be aggressive. And now you came forth and put forth that effort. Now that you've look, the emotion has worn down a little bit. How do you feel now? Do you still feel the same way that we went out and we took care of business and we're good? Or how do you feel now?
I think we are a contender and it's scary. Before the Armstead signing, before Tyreek Hill, I didn't see it. I didn't think we upgraded enough offensively to compete with the teams in the AFC. But I think we're a serious contender. I think Mike McDaniel is going to be a fantastic head coach. You could already tell he communicates very well with his players. They all like him. They're going to gravitate around him and buy into what he's saying. He's a guy who uses reason. If you haven't already, when he speaks in a press conference, he's not afraid to shut anything down. So I just think we have all the right guys, all the right leaders in place. And I think our offensive talent with Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, Cedric Wilson, and when Devontae Parker's playing, he's a threat on the football field. Thing is, he just doesn't play enough. I think we're as talented as anyone. Our biggest question is going to be obviously Tua, and if the offensive line makes a jump from the worst in the league to decent. Because if they're decent and give Tua any type of time back there, I think we'll see a new and improved Tua. And I hope I'm wrong because I don't see him being a top 5 talent, but I could see him being a good enough quarterback to win playoff games and get us into the position that we as Dolphin fans want to be in.
Lorenzo, he touched on something in his video. He said, I'm 22 years old. I know I haven't paid my dues. Lorenzo, you're just a couple of years older than that.
Yes.
Just a couple, right?
A decade or so.
What about for you? Were you feeling those same raw emotions in that first video of man, I'm sick of being told something, then it not coming to fruition, us being mediocre, the definition of mediocrity and not really doing what we're saying. And then, obviously we saw what ended up happening, and just give me your perspective of it from your standpoint, because you've been a fan longer than Nikki.
Yeah, I was totally shocked, but based on his emotions, yes, I was right there with you. And you probably, maybe if I had to rate it, maybe, if you were on about a 13, I may have been at about a 10. But I understand basically for you being 22, did you see Sam and Pat play at all?
Yeah,
Okay.
I had season tickets since I was 5. I had hard copy tickets of Sam Madison and Patrick Surtain.
Okay, great. Because I used to come. I lived up in the Maryland area, basically where Steven is, for quite some time, and I used to come down to the games and became friends with Sam and Pat, and I was so excited about the fact that they. It's amazing what they've done, because after Brian Flores was fired and let go, of course, we were upset for about 2 weeks, and then they immediately hired McDaniel and then changed the narrative by bringing in Wes Welker and Pat and Sam. And at that point, we were like, Brian, who? We were just so excited about having some of those players that as coaches, that we could remember the time when those guys played for the Dolphins. We were constantly in the playoffs. If we weren't winning the division, we were in the playoffs every year. Making the playoffs was not a question. So for you not to experience that as often as I have, I mean, I saw Marino play all of those years and losing to Buffalo in the playoffs and losing in 1992 with Thurman Thomas catching those screen passes at whatever the name of the stadium was at that time. May have been Sun Life Stadium at that time, where they were screening us. This was the championship game, and we're allowing Buffalo to just beat us on screens. So there has been so much disappointment for us as Dolphin fans over the years. And when I heard Steven say the best off season in history, because we did have high expectations going into this offseason, but to be able to get a player that is going to change the way defenses play our offense. Because if we've watched the games, I'm at the games most of the time, but when you watch them on TV, you see 10 players on the defensive side of the ball against our offense in the box to play against our offense. You will constantly see that. It's like now they can't do that, especially they line Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle on the same side. That safety is about 40 yards off the field, off the line of scrimmage, and it's going to help our running game. So when you get someone like that and you had the balls to go ahead and make the deal, you have to praise Chris Greer, but you also got to give some props to Drew Rosenhaus.
Drew Rosenhaus, if we do anything, gets a lot of the credit.
Yes.
And I'll get to that in a minute. Number one, want to give a big shout out to Bash3_0_5 for becoming the newest member of the YouTube channel. DWA Loyalty is in the building. Thank you so much for becoming part of the family. That's my Vin Diesel voice. And Fast and Furious, Lorenzo.
Yes. Triple X State of the Union was on TV this weekend too. It's crazy.
I think it's really interesting that you say what you were talking about with, the respect that the Dolphins get home from the media. I think the other thing this week that kind of made me lose my mind a little bit is the national media, even with the acquisition of Tyreek Hill. And I guess rightfully so, right? Like we haven't won anything.
Right.
Just being so disrespectful to the fact that, that we're still bad. We're still mediocre. I mean, we got killed in the national media this week, Nikki. What are your thoughts about that? Because we didn't get any love really from anywhere.
I love it.
You talking about the Dolphins didn't get any love?
Yeah, no, not at all. Like Skip Bayless was saying that Tyreek Hill is gonna, have such a horrible year this year.
I heard some love.
I don't know where it came from because that's not even if it came from one or two places, the overall reception is that this is going to be a waste of years for Tyreek Hill in Miami.
I love it. I love it. I love when the national media is talking bad about us because, as our favorite head coach of all time, Nick Saban, once said, we don't want that rat poison. Anytime the national media is hyping up your team and gassing them up and all this other crap, 9 times out of 10, it doesn't work out in your favor. I mean, they just absolutely mush your team into oblivion. I like being the public enemy. I'd rather have the media talking down on us the entire time. just more fuel to the fire, more for Tua. And let's be fair, man, he deserves some of the pressure, right? Pressure either makes diamonds or it bursts
all
pipes.
of it. All of it.
Look, we haven't been sold. We still have a question mark. We had to have Mike McDaniel come out to clarify that Teddy's not competing for a starting job. Now, if you look at the Chargers, if they signed a veteran quarterback, no one's even questioning if that guy's going to start over Herbert or Burrow or any of these other top 10, top 15 guys. So Tua has a lot to prove, and I think the criticism's fair. I think it's 100% fair. And he has, I think, if you support Tua, well, if you support the Dolphins in general, you should be very, very excited for this because we're finally going to find out what we have in the guy that we selected 5th overall. And if this pressure is going to be the thing that pushes him to that next level, we should be all for it. And he should be eating it up. You see his trainer on Twitter, by the way. Those videos that they post, those are calculated. Like they see the memes, they see the trolling.
Correct.
Those videos are basically Tua on that guy's account saying, I hear you guys. Like, I could throw this pass. I could do this. I could do that. So Tua hears it, and I'm excited for him. I think I love the spotlight on Miami because it's really going to show what we're really about.
Yeah, and to piggyback on what Nikki was saying, I just feel that the national media really hasn't been paying a lot of attention to what the Miami Dolphins defense has been doing for them. And I mentioned the defense because, you know, they did win 10 games. They went 10-6 a couple of years ago. And normally that gets you in the playoffs. And then the following year, they go 9-8. Okay, so basically, if our offense was just a little bit better, you know, we can go back to last year. We lost 3 games on 3 walk-off field goals, the Raiders game, the Falcons game, and the Jacksonville game. We win one of those games, we're in the playoffs. Now, that would put us basically 10-7, and we had the worst offensive line in football. We had basically the worst running game in football. And outside of Jalen Waddle, as far as wide receivers were concerned, who was a threat? Nobody. Yeah. Okay. All right. Matt Collins. All right. But anyway, I'm saying that to say that with these improvements on the offensive side of the ball, and if we basically don't regress as a defense, and everyone came back on defense, right? We had all the starters intact. I think we even got the backups intact. If there's any improvement on the offense and the defense can stay the same, therefore the offensive line is better if they give Tua more time. And the offensive coordinator is making the calls, the plays to get Jalen Waddle going deep or in space. The same thing with Tyreek Hill. If they're doing that and designing the plays that can make that happen, then we'll have a better offense and our team will be better. And then Tua will be better.
And then Tua will be better.
Yeah. And then you got to look, if you look at most of the places, if you look at most of the passes that Tyreek Hill caught, how many yards did Patrick Mahomes have to throw the ball to complete the passes? That's what I think you have to look at. We just think all the passes that he catches are bombs or 40 yards downfield.
You go look at his yards after catch.
But a lot of those plays is because of Mahomes' improv, you know, keeping the play alive, still making crazy throws that we've never seen before. That's definitely going to affect Tyreek's numbers for sure.
Mm-hmm. And Tua doesn't do that well.
No, not at all.
But to Tua's defense, he doesn't have the O-line. He doesn't have the weapons, you know, to be, you know, look at what he had to work with in Kansas City. You got Travis Kelce. You have a great O-line for the most part. I know his O-line's been questionable. That's why they lost the Super Bowl to Tampa. But, you know, for the most part, they have a very decent O-line. You know, you have weapons, a lot of really, really good weapons on offense. And so you're able to keep plays going as long as your quarterback is able to look downfield and has the arm strength. Tua, in my opinion, I think he has some of those attributes because of what I witnessed at Alabama. And I remember him at Alabama when he had all those pieces around him. And look, you know, Nikki, you're shaking your head.
He didn't have a metal hip. He didn't play with a metal hip.
Right.
In Alabama.
Right. That was my guess.
I get the injury part. But I'm going to say it like this. I think that with the exception of injury, I think Tua's got the skills. And he's got the skills.
That's a big exception. If Tua's not on the field, that's a huge problem.
But we got to see what happens this year, man. Like that.
I know, but I feel like we always say that, and I'm down. Trust me, I'm down. It's only year 3. Like we did 8 or 10 years with Tannehill, and it was a complete waste of time. And I'm down. I could do 3 years of Tua.
But we could have moved on after 4 or 5 with Tannehill and known what.
I agree, but
yeah, we could have. Definitely.
My thing is, it's like, look, even if Tua looks solid, right? It's always the last 2 games of the year for us as a Dolphins fan, where it's make or break for us to get in the playoffs, and he hasn't showed up.
That's right.
Once. You can make an excuse about offensive line, this and that, but even just his play in general, from a talent perspective in big games, it hasn't been there yet. Now, it was so bad that people on Twitter were saying, why are we throwing the ball in the rain? And people were blaming the punter because Tua couldn't play football in the rain. And then you look back at the Oakland game, you could just go down the list. He has to step up in those big games. That's his check mark for me, because anyone, I mean, you can't say anyone because there's a lot of bad quarterbacks in the NFL, but a 5th overall pick like Tua, I think he could play well enough to get us into those last 2 games that have playoff implications. But if he fails that test again, I don't want to hear none of it. Like, I don't want to hear
I agree with you.
I think you can't hit me with the O-line or nothing.
I think this year he has no excuses. I'm not putting that to bed. I think 100%. I think 100% that's what the deal is. I think you put up or shut up this year. That's what.
In that Tennessee game, he was terrible.
Oh,
he was terrible, and that was with the playoffs on the line. And we go back to the Week 17 game against the Bills too. Terrible.
Either. You got to remember that Tennessee game at halftime, we had 7 rushes for 49 yards. And then don't go back to the rush with that running back.
We were losing the whole game.
I can break down each series of that game. I mean, it was so bad. I remember it.
You don't have to go back and do that. But what I'm telling you is there is partial blame.
It wasn't the play calling.
I think you can blame some of it on play calling. 100%.
That first drive,
we can't blame execution. We can't blame lack of execution.
We can. And there's fairness in all of it. But so to your point, Nick, I also think at the end of the day, there's no excuse this year. You have the offense that's made for
no excuse.
You have the speed. Look, I don't know if the NFL's ever seen this much speed on one side of the ball.
They haven't.
Right.
This is crazy. Jalen Waddle, Raheem Mostert, and Tyreek Hill are 3 of the top 4 fastest players in the NFL.
Track team.
Yeah.
Like you don't get that excuse this year. And you upgraded 40% of your line. Now, granted, Teron Armstead does have a history of not being available because of his injuries that has occurred. But I don't think we're done yet, and I don't think we're done on the O-line. And the other thing that I have said vehemently is the best offseason acquisition this year was Matt Applebaum, the offensive line coach from Boston College, who I think is going to take currently what we have in-house and make them better. So our guys are going to get better. We brought in better players. Our offense is going to be totally different than anything we've seen before. I think that it's not all on Tua at this point.
Right. Steven, you're right there.
And that's the other problem. You know, we talk about Tannehill, right? Tannehill's ceiling is what we've seen in Tennessee, and he can't win there. And call it what you want. That is their Achilles heel. If they had a better quarterback in Tennessee would have made it to.
What do you classify winning as, though?
I mean, winning the whole thing.
I mean, there hasn't been too many quarterbacks that have been winning then, besides Tom Brady and a couple outliers.
I mean, Patrick Mahomes,
the greatest quarterback on earth right now.
Okay. I mean, we can go down the list. Aaron Rodgers.
Well, what I'm saying, Tannehill won playoff games. He got him to an AFC championship. Us as Dolphin fans, we haven't seen a playoff
do that, or did Derrick Henry do that in that game?
I agree. I agree. But are we going to say the same thing about our guy when that happens? Because we don't want to give our defense credit when they win games. We don't want to give others people credit when they win games. No, Tua won this game.
So Nikki, let me ask you a question. Is Tua better than Tannehill?
Right now? No.
Lorenzo, is Tua better than Tannehill?
Right now, as of today, no.
See,
no.
because
Tua does have better pocket presence and better touch.
I'll say this. I think,
but he doesn't have the arm.
I think that Tannehill is a better game manager, but I enjoy the risk that Tua's willing to take in certain areas, and I think that Tua has a much higher ceiling than Tannehill ever had.
What's his ceiling?
Tua's
Yeah.
Super Bowl winning quarterback.
And that'll only be, and one of the things that I said after
and
watching
by the way,
it to
I'm
myself.
not a Tua-neer. I'm not a Tua-neer.
Neither am I. But after watching the playoffs, and now that we're going and we're playing 18 games, the season is going longer. So they're going to be more cold games. And of course, when we look at September, we here in Miami always say, look, we want at least 2 home games in September. Now, I remember watching the playoffs and say, why don't we focus on just running the rock down somebody's throat? Because if we make it to the playoffs, we're going to have to go play in New England. We're going to have to go play in Buffalo. We're going to have to go play in some cold climate. Take advantage of the heat in South Florida in September and early October. You get a strong running game. What did Indianapolis do to us last year? They ran the ball down our throat. Buffalo, first play of the game, boom, straight at the gut, 50-yard run. We should be running the rock against other teams, and he's building the offense to do this. Now you do that? Right, you do that. Now, I think that's a formula that can definitely win. When you have a strong running game, your defense is not on the field as long as we were last year, probably average of 35 minutes a game. And of course, they wore down as the season went on. Well, actually, they got better, but in the early part of the season, when it was hot, that's when they wore down, got their second win. Some of the adjustments came, and they played better going down the stretch, except for in that Tennessee game when what happened? Tennessee was running a rock straight down their throat.
So to Nikki's point, okay, because let me rephrase this too, or make sure I'm making this clear. I don't know what Tua would do in this pressure situation, and based on past pressure situations in the NFL, which are a handful of games, he hasn't always come out on top. I'll agree with you on that, right? We can go back to the Vegas game. You said Oakland earlier, but the Vegas game, I knew what you were talking about. We can go to, the game 2 years ago as well, when Ryan Fitzpatrick had to come in as well. That's a Vegas game too, right? We can go to the Tennessee game this past year. There's 3 or 4 games where you go to and you say, Tua didn't step up. He didn't be the player a number 5 overall pick should be. I'll give you that. I'll succeed to that.
Throw in the Falcons game too.
But I won't do that for that because he played good down the stretch. He made a bad interception.
Two.
But they wouldn't even have been as close as they were.
They would have had a big hit. They would have had a big lead had he not thrown the 2 interceptions in the red zone. And another time, he threw an interception right after the defense.
Tua I'm not going to sit here and have this conversation that Tua makes bad decisions. I don't think he makes. He had a bad game.
He did. That's why I say you got to bring up that game. You got to bring up that game. Because he had 2 bad red zone interceptions in that game. 2. One was right after the defense had taken the ball away.
The original point I'm trying to make to Nikki's argument here is that when you're looking at Tua with this offense, we're going to really find out when that run game doesn't work because they find a way to shut it down. That good defense does it because we're going to run into that, whether it's in the regular season or in the playoffs, which we all expect to be there with this team. The ball's going to eventually have to go into Tua's hands for something.
True.
That's going to be a big play.
True.
But that's why I think we've been trying to avoid that. Our coaching staffs have been trying to avoid that. I mean, we would send in Jacoby Brissett, run the Wildcat. Flores obviously didn't like Tua. They were trying to do everything and anything they could to take the ball out of Tua's hands in those big-time moments.
I don't disagree with you, but again, we have a totally different regime here. And I also think part of a player's progression is his psyche and feeling confident.
Yes.
And he hasn't had the support here in South Florida.
That's true.
He does now. He does.
I hear that
100%. And I think that if Tua doesn't get any out with me this year, they they didn't do it. Look, Tua, you had your chance. Thank you. Nice talking to you. But next person who's coming back, who's coming now.
Right.
But you're at this moment, March 28th, you're going to get the benefit of the doubt from me. But come September 7th or whenever the opening weekend is, you better put up and shut up. You better be ready to play.
Because I second that, man.
Yeah.
Just because I'll be labeled a Tua hater, I'm not. Like, I watch the Dolphins, and every single Sunday, I pray Tua throws for 300 yards, 3 touchdowns, lights it up. I'm not a guy that sits here like watching Tua drop back, like, please throw an interception so I could say I was right on Twitter, blah, 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 blah. No, bro. Like, I'm just being fair. I want Tua to succeed. I understand. Look, he hasn't had the greatest offensive line. He hasn't had a coaching staff that's bought into him. But even with that, just from the eye test, I just haven't seen enough to where it's like, I see the potential.
You just said it. I haven't seen enough. You haven't seen enough.
Well, I haven't seen enough production from what I've seen from him, meaning even in his sample size, I just haven't seen enough quality play. Like, there's maybe 2 to 3 games I could go back to and be like, wow, like Tua played really, really well that game. He helped us win that game. Other than that, it's more like game management. The offense scores a touchdown, the defense has a pick 6, and we hit a field goal and we win 17-3 or something like that. I get it. Tua has been dealt a bad hand, but he still hasn't shown anything to me that's like, wow, there's a lot of talent in this guy. We just got to build around him for him to really take off. But that doesn't mean I think he's Mitch Trubisky bad. I just don't see him being elite. But that doesn't mean he can't be a good enough quarterback for us to win
real
games.
Quick, I think Mitchell Trubisky's going to have a big year in Pittsburgh. That's just my opinion. I think he's going to have a big year in Pittsburgh. Anthony says, but the problem with that, Steven, is with us signing Teddy Bridgewater, defenders are going to say, Tua defenders are going to say we shouldn't have signed Teddy, and he was still looking over his shoulder. No, look, bro, like there's no rational excuse for you to even bring that into the conversation, in my opinion. And I granted, you know what? You might be right that Tua defenders might do that, but they ain't gonna get the time of day from me on that argument.
Well, they got the time of day from Mike McDaniel because they asked him about it, and he just had to come out and publicly say that Teddy Bridgewater will be the backup.
Let's get into that. So today, I think it's in Palm Springs, right? The owners' meeting was going on, and all the coaches are there. And our own Daniel Oyefusi from the Miami Herald, who comes on each and every Tuesday, he'll be on us tomorrow. Let's kind of scroll through. He had a really good play-by-play of the questions that were asked, and I kind of want us to break it down a little bit and talk about it because I think it's very interesting. So Dolphins coach Mike McDaniel said to address reporters at the NFL's owner meeting, I'll have a thread of updates. All right. McDaniel said Teddy B not talking about his role publicly was him just being professional. Said he's spoken to Tua and Teddy about their roles. We'll start off with Nikki. Nikki, what do you take from this?
Well, I mean, I think he's kind of stating the obvious, not giving too much out to the public. But with the whole idea that he even has to address this, it seems like coddling, right? It's like we have to give Tua this Tom Brady treatment where he's just unanimously doesn't have to go up against any competition. And it's almost like we're scared to admit that there's going to be competition going into training camp, and that's going to be too much of a distraction surrounding Tua. So I think it's maybe a little bit of coddling, but I mean, this is obvious. If we really thought that Teddy B is going to be our starter over Tua, then we might as well have sent those draft picks and went out and got an elite quarterback. But I think this is pretty obvious. I think it's just kind of sad that we have to go out there and clarify it because people are petrified that Tua has to still earn his right on this team.
Lorenzo, any thought on just this comment here from Mike McDaniel?
I'll go back to last year when we signed Jacoby Brissett. Why would you sign Jacoby Brissett when he doesn't basically fit the structure of the offense? He's the wrong type of quarterback to run the RPO. So that was a mistake. They come back this year and they bring in a quarterback that's similar to Tua that can run the RPO offense, and he is a veteran now. So Tua has missed 10 games over the last 2 years. So now if Tua gets hurt, therefore you have Teddy Bridgewater right there in order to help him or to help the team continue to win some games. And what's going to show up in training camp? And I went out to training camp and I went to quite a few practices last year, and people talk about Tua's arm strength. you could see the difference between Tua's arm and Jacoby's arm when they line up on the center. They both drop back in together and they throw the ball. There's a certain zip that you can see that Jacoby has on his passes that Tua just does not have. So that is something that's going to be a problem. It may not be a problem in September, October, November, but in January, if you're not able to get some zip on the ball, you better believe Teddy Bridgewater is going to be in there quarterbacking that team. He played in Denver last year. So we know he can handle the elements. The bottom line is this. We got all these elements. Tua has this year to show and prove. If he doesn't, we got two number ones in 2023. And it's a better quarterback draft next year. That's what it is. It's his year to show and prove. Did I say right? We have 2 number ones in 2023. I said it right?
Yep, you're right. You're right.
Oh, okay. Just want to make sure I articulated that right. So that's it. And I can live with that because if he doesn't work, Tyreek Hill is still here. Waddle is still here. We'll find out what we're going to do with J-Cat. Everyone's going to stay. And then we don't know what quarterback is going to be available next year to come to Miami, Brady, because, he wants to be an owner.
That's going to be irrelevant because Tua's going to ball out this year and be the MVP.
Did y'all hear the name I just threw out there? Because right.
We'll get into that in a minute. Yeah. We'll get into that.
Can you imagine that?
Because I know you want to go, but because that's what they're getting wrong about the rumor. I know we'll get into this earlier because we know Brady was supposed to be here 2 years ago.
He was on a yacht with Stephen Ross.
He was supposed to be here with the alumni. It was supposed to be Brady and Stephen Ross, and Stephen Ross is going to be selling the team, and Tom Brady wants to go ahead and be a part of that ownership. They both graduate, they're alumni of Michigan. Can't you see it? It's as plain as day. That's what was supposed to happen. And then he went on the shop and said, "Oh, y'all going to stick with Ryan Fitzpatrick?" Oh, he didn't say that. Y'all going to stick with that one? Y'all going to stick with him? That's what he said. He was talking about Ryan Fitzpatrick. Said, "All right, I'll go to Tampa Bay, win the Super Bowl." How does Stephen Ross feel after that?
Hey, we're not getting into all that.
Sorry. I just had to say it. I just had to say it. He wants ownership. That's the future. So who better than to get it from his boy, Stephen Ross?
I got you.
It's going to happen next year. If he doesn't play, he doesn't come here, he's going to be part owner or something.
Let's dive in more to the McDaniel presser at the owners' meetings. McDaniel goes on to say that Teron Armstead will be Miami's left tackle, but, quote, it wouldn't be fair to the process to say who might be that in-house candidate to start at right tackle. With the new scheme,
it doesn't matter because next year the quarterback's going to be right-handed, so you got Teron to protect the blind side of that quarterback is going to be here next year. That's why you go ahead and sign him. Go ahead, Steven. Sorry.
You're killing me this morning.
Sorry.
With the new scheme in place, the path to figuring out who starts next week or off-season workout program. Nikki, do you want to address this a little bit?
I'm just glad it's not going to be Jesse Davis. We finally cut him. That's a win. So as long as it's not him, I mean, I'm going to leave it up to the coaches to make the right decision. I'm with Lorenzo, though. It doesn't really matter. Next year, we'll have a right-handed quarterback now.
Guys,
I hope it works out. I really hope it works out with Tua.
Because
I love me a quarterback on a rookie contract. I love a rookie contract. I love it.
Yes.
So I hope Tua balls because that'll help us build. I don't really know, man. I mean, last year, if you saw, we were playing musical chairs with our offensive line. 1 week, this guy's here. Next week, he's over there. So I really don't know what to expect.
Say something that I hate people saying, or I've hated people saying in the past. I'm going to trust the process. I'm going to trust the process of Applebaum and this new look. And I pray that I don't eat my words with that because I have a million times over.
Me too. We all have.
But I'm going to trust the process. That's real. All right, let me get let's go into a little bit more into the conversation. Daniel Oyefusi, who was at the owners meeting, said McDaniel said there will be some overlap in the way he uses Tyreek Hill compared to Deebo Samuel, but he wants to accentuate Hill's skill set in Miami. What do you think he's talking about there, Nikki? From a Deebo to Tyreek Hill and how they'll utilize Tyreek?
I just think it's going to be an absolute track show. You're going to see a lot of pre-snap motion. whether it's Waddle or Hill or whoever, I think these guys are going to be flying around pre-snap, really opening up the entire offense. I mean, defenses are going to be so lost at what to do. When you have two guys as dynamic as that, I know we're really talking about Tyreek Hill's role, but you could interchange both of those guys. I think it's going to be a pre-snap nightmare for defenses when they play the Miami Dolphins.
Yeah, and I feel sorry for the defenses that we play in the first quarter of the season, because there's not going to be a lot of tape on what this team is going to do. They're going to look at a lot of San Francisco, 49ers tape, but we're not going to show everything in the preseason. So, it might be best for us fans to go out to training camp to see some of the things that they're putting in place there. But it's going to be scary for those first 4 games because there's going to be jet sweeps. And I don't think he's going to use them. Debo did a lot of running, on the outside and on the inside. And I don't think that's where you want Tyreek Hill. You don't want him running in the inside. So therefore, he'll be using him somewhat similar to the way that they used Debo in San Francisco. But a lot of things are going to be, and the things that we've been complaining about, why didn't they do more of that last year with Jalen Waddle? Get him in space where he can make people miss. Hit him while he's in stride. It was like, what was it, the Carolina game where they finally threw a pass where they hit him in stride? And we was like, oh my God, they finally hit Waddle in stride, and he almost took it to the house.
They're replaying that play on Twitter.
Yeah.
And I'm just saying to myself, if that's Tyreek finishes that off for a
He's
touchdown.
gone. He's
Tyreek.
Right. But Waddle wasn't. Yeah, but he was not running those routes enough. Or I could say, they called him into it and have the time to complete that, because that did take a little bit of time.
Here's my favorite part about this offense. So last year, when Jalen Waddle came onto the spot, everyone's like, whoa, the Dolphins got a dude over there. So what they do, they started double teaming Waddle.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Who do you double team now? You double Tyreek, Waddle's going to cook you. If you double Waddle, you cannot leave Tyreek one-on-one.
Gesicki,
a lot of teams can
still
drop
open
back,
there
which
too.
is going to open up the run game. Dude, this could be the best Miami Dolphins offense we had in a while.
It'll be the most exciting. It'll be the most exciting.
A lot of speed, man. There's one thing you cannot coach. You cannot coach speed. When those guys catch the ball and take off, I don't care how long these guys have been tackling, you can't catch speed, man, and you can't coach it either.
And Chase out of the backfield is elusive as well.
And Raheem,
you know what I'm saying? Yes,
fast, bro.
Yeah, it's very fast. So
the top since 2016, there have been the top 4 fastest runs from scrimmage. 2 of them from Raheem Mostert and 2 of them from Tyreek Hill. They have the top 4 since 2016. And that says a lot there. Daniel Oyefuzi also went on to say and talk. I'm getting feedback from somebody here, by the way. I don't know if you got headphones in or not. Asked about or somebody replaying their video on the thing. All right, good. No more. I don't hear it now. Asked about Connor Williams. McDaniel wouldn't commit him to starting at left guard. Says he wants to get everyone on the field first and see how they look in the new scheme. That kind of goes back into what we were just talking about, and Lorenzo touched on a little bit as well as Nikki. I think we'll see it as we go on. But if I was a betting man, which I am not, I would say Connor Williams is going to start at left guard. I know Nikki is.
Fun fact. So after we traded for Tyreek Hill, I was on the phone with my ticket rep. I bought season tickets within 5 minutes of that. But aside from that, I also placed a wager for the Dolphins to win the AFC, placed a wager for them to win the Super Bowl and the AFC East. But I do that every year. But I just did it faster.
That's funny. That's really funny.
All right, let's go on. So asked about whether Miami – all right, here we go. Let me pull this into the screen here. Asked about whether Miami's moves show they're in win now mode. McDaniel says coaches everyone's impatience. He also says the team had the fewest players on contract for 2022, so a lot of moves were going to be made regardless. Do you think that the Miami Dolphins are in a win now mode? Nikki, Lorenzo.
Of course. I mean, yes. Do I have to elaborate on that?
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, I don't even know what's good with X. I think after this year, he's a full-time free agent. So that's another big piece. We have to win now, or we at least have to sell this locker room that, look, the guys we have in here now can win now. You're going to want to come back here. You're going to want to stay here because, look, we might only be a piece away from being a Super Bowl contender. So I think if this team goes out there and they win a lot of games now, obviously that's going to help the locker room build together because when you're winning, everything's great. It's going to make guys want to come back. It's going to make people want to take pay cuts to get to a championship. This team is 100% in win now mode. You had a top 5 defense going down the stretch last year. You had an offense who was absolutely abysmal. So even if they make the slightest bit of a jump, this team could be scary. So yes, they have to win now. You look at the AFC, all these other quarterbacks, all these other teams are building championship teams, and you have to be in that conversation. And the only way to do that is to win. So this team is 100% in a win now mode.
Yeah. Steven Ross is how old? 81, 82, going on 83. Win now. It's win now. I mean, he just wrote a check for $25 million to Tyreek Hill. I think he wrote a $13 million check to Byron Jones when they restructured his contract. And that's just off the top. So what did he do for Tehran and anyone else, get those signing bonuses and what have you. So he's putting his money where his mouth is. And all of this is changing the narrative. And we're not talking about, well, I'm going to bring it up, the lawsuits. So all this was done basically to win the fan base back. You go ahead and you get those fan favorites in here like Wes Welker, Sam and Pat. You make those moves. You get a McDaniel, which is the fans love him. The players love him. You do that and you go ahead and you make this big splash in free agency and no one is talking about the lawsuit at all. And in fact, Brian may have done it because he knew what the plan was going to be. Were they going to bring in Sean Payton? Was that something they were trying to do? Were they trying to get in Brady?
I think that was a legit thing. I think so here's what I'll say. So it's fun. Great segue, Lorenzo, because
thank you.
The very next thing I had up here was asked about Tom Brady coming to Miami. Mike McDaniel says that's what you call, quote, fake news. Let me state this for the record. I believe Tom Brady retired for the sole purpose of being for illegal tampering to be able to happen, for him to have real conversations with people. I am fully bought into that.
Of course.
I will also say that I believe that Sean Payton, the Dolphins were all in on getting Sean Payton to be their head coach. In the moment that story dropped, it shut both those things down.
Everything down.
It shut them down. I don't believe the rumor last week about Brady. I think that is somebody who heard the original rumor and tried to make it a story now, but it's
right. I agree. I agree with that.
No,
it's not happening this year. It's not happening this year.
No.
Right.
And I'll go as far to say that I don't know if it happens next year either if Tua has the season that we all think he's going to have. Because here's the reality to this, Nikki. Listen to this. One of two things is going to happen. Let's play both sides of this pendulum here. Tua's going to have a big year. Dolphins are going to make the playoffs, maybe win a playoff game or two. We're going to be on the right course. This is the team we're living with, and we're going to try to go after it again in 2023, right? We're going to restructure contracts next offseason, maybe bring in another veteran or two, figure out what the missing pieces are, bring those in, and 2023 will be full in on a Super Bowl run. I think
the two number ones. Don't forget the two number ones.
Don't forget the two number ones, 100%. Right. If we do not make the playoffs this year, everybody's gone. Greer, and I hate saying it because I think Greer's a genius, but I'm going to say it. I think Greer's gone. I think McDaniel's gone. Everybody's gone. They clean house.
And who's coming in?
Sean Payton.
There you go.
And Tom Brady.
Yep.
Those are my two things that I think
that would be so crazy.
Yep.
If they can Mike McDaniel after 1 year, if they don't make the playoffs,
I'm telling you, I think he has. Everybody hates that I say that, and I. Two things.
I agree with you 110%.
I don't want it to be right. I want to win. I hope and pray that Tua puts up 4,000 plus yards.
Me too.
30 touchdowns.
Amen.
25. Like I want him to have a career year. I want him to shut up the haters. I want to get into the playoffs, and I want to win a freaking playoff game. But I'm telling you right now, if they do not make the playoffs for whatever reason, whether it's injuries because of Tua, whether it's because of the coaching scheme that is I don't care. They clean the entire house, they scrub it down, and you will see Sean Payton here. He will be and Tom Brady, and Tom Brady will also know, because we'll also bring in some draft. We'll bring in some young buck to be behind him, and he'll mentor and tutor him. And the goal will be, Brady, you're going to come here to win a Super Bowl and coach this kid up. You got 2 jobs. Make it happen.
Well, here's the thing. It's not going to happen this year. Like, that report was fake news because you would
100%.
have to trade. You would have to trade for Tom Brady right now.
Right.
After this year, he can sign wherever he wants to be. And if this ownership rumor, which I think it's more than a rumor, I would say it's more truth than rumor, he's going to want to play here. And if Tua doesn't make that jump, best believe Stephen Ross will have Tom Brady on the PJ flying in. He might even pick him up on a yacht. He'll probably pick him up personally on his yacht and bring him back to South Florida. So I want to go back to Lorenzo's point. Of course, we're in a win now mode. I mean, this guy was tampering, offering to pay Brian Flores to tank so we can build a winning roster. Like, this team is doing whatever they possibly can to win. We took all the heat all year long for Deshaun Watson just for another team to scoop in. Like, this team is in win now mode. And if Tua doesn't make that jump, I 100,000% believe you will see Tom Brady on the Miami Dolphins, because it's not a coincidence that the lawsuit came out the same day Tom Brady retired. Okay, like this was all.
Was it on the
planned.
same day, Nikki? It was the same day.
Same day, Tom Brady retired, and then he stole the show. Flores stole the entire show of Tom Brady's retirement. And then they let it cool down. Months go by, and then it's Flores versus the NFL.
Do you think Flores
knew how that's going to go?
Do you think Flores knew?
Yes.
Do you think Flores knew that Brady was on his way here and that Peyton was being
Flores stood him up. Flores is the one that stood up Tom Brady, that threw the wrench in the ship, that said, no, like, I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to tank, and I'm not going to tamper.
Right.
By the way, I have no problem that
Brady is not here.
I want to state for the record, too, I don't have a problem with Flores not being on board with that. I don't have a problem, by the way, that Stephen Ross wanted to do that. My biggest problem with it all is that you didn't get somebody that was on board to do with what you needed to do.
Exactly. They hired the wrong guy.
And I just want to put it out there. I do believe Brian Flores is a hell of a coach.
Yes.
And I also think that if we had stuck with him and did it his way, we'd still be in a good position right now. If we went all in with him, which we never did. We never did. And we
would have had a problem trying to find an offensive coordinator this offseason.
Well, I mean, this is what I'm saying. I just want this team to go all in with whoever's running the show. And right now, from what I see, there's a blank check. Ross is saying, make the signing bonuses whatever you want them to make them so it works out. It doesn't work against the salary cap. Look at these signing bonuses. Crazy signing bonuses.
The salary cap's fake.
It is 100%. So I think that's one, right? I think two, I think the other thing that's really interesting from it is McDaniel came in, said, hey, this is what I need. I need Tyreek Hill or a Deebo Samuel type player. Okay, we'll go get it for you. We'll make it happen. I don't think that Tyreek Hill was the player that they were going after, because I don't think they knew that Tyreek was going to be on the market. I think Deebo Samuel was the guy that they were going to go after, because he knew what the contract situation was going to be in San Fran, and he knew that he could make an aggressive push with the assets that Miami had to go after a Deebo Samuel. But
he's a free agent next year, isn't he?
He is, but I think that
they had lunch down here too.
They did. So this is what I'm saying.
Bro, if we
I'm
get
not-
Debo Samuel,
Next year.
I two things. I don't think Debo is
Mickey,
coming here now. I
next
just want to
year.
throw that out there. I don't think Debo's
imagine
coming here
this,
now.
Lorenzo. Tom Brady, Jalen Waddle, Tyreek Hill, Debo
Stop.
Samuel. I'm done.
Stop,
I'm
Mickey,
done. I'm
stop. Oh. And it
What
could
I'm
be an
saying-
average Tom Brady with those weapons.
It could be. And what the other thing I'm saying to all this is, I just want the Dolphins to go all in with whatever they choose to do.
True.
And what I have
Facts.
felt in past years is they haven't done that. They go, I'll give you this, but I'm not going to give you that. I'll do this for you, but I can't do that for you. No, I
Right.
need the whole package. I need you to be all in with this. And so I think right now, Stephen Ross says, Greer, this is your ship. Sink or swim, brother. And I think, I think there's something to be said of that. And I'll also go as far to say is that I think Chris Greer, last two off seasons, between last season's draft and
Thumbs
this
up.
off season, might be the two best back-to-back years I've ever seen from a GM in the NFL.
Yeah.
And I want to add to that. So my biggest knock on Greer, well, I always said he was a fantastic negotiator. We were always winning on the trades. We were always getting our biggest bang for the buck. But the thing is what he would get, he would never execute on it, So like we would win the trade, and then with the draft picks we got through there, it never really worked out. It never really panned out. So he was great at negotiating, but it never
Exception of Laramie
came to
Tunsil.
fruition
Yeah.
until last year's draft class, which was a home run, until this year's offseason,
grand
which was
slam.
a grand
Right.
slam home run, because we've had plenty of off seasons where we whiffed. Will Fuller, you could go back even 3 years ago,
Lord.
2016. You go down the list. Overpaid Sue. Yeah, he was a great part of our defense, but
Calvin
we overpaid,
Noy.
whatever. So he's always been a great negotiator. He's always had the money and this and that, but he's never executed. But the last 2 years, he's starting to negotiate and execute. That's what I'm seeing out of Greer right now. And like you said, it's his ship to sink or swim. So I think it's going to work. There's no way it's worse.
And so, Lorenzo, I'll let you go after me here. I think that's a really interesting. I think that it's going to work too. And in past years, I've said this even as late as last week, or as early as last week, whatever you want to call it. I have said that the Dolphins have hope. They don't know we have hope. And I think there's still truth in that with my comment now. But what I'll say is I'm looking at the way the Dolphins are operating. And to a lot of fans' points in the chats in the past, I'm not paying attention to the chat today, people. I apologize. I'll say that I think that the Dolphins are being very methodical.
Yes.
Which is something that they have not done in the past. They said they're not done. I believe them.
Right.
I 100% believe them.
Honey
I don't
Badger.
think they are done.
Ooh, that'd
Who?
be sick. Honey Badger. Yeah.
Yeah. I was very confident about that last week. The longer it takes, the less confident I am. But I do hope they can find a way to make that work.
What's
I
up,
gotta
Mickey?
ask you guys something. Would you rather have Tua or Lamar Jackson?
Lamar Jackson. Come on.
Watch out.
I'm not answering. I refuse to. Do not get me in trouble.
Watch out.
Lamar Jackson.
And by the way, I don't
With
I
these
might not be
weapons? With these weapons? Oh my goodness.
So that's
If the
another
Ravens-
scenario.
If the Ravens
too.
don't
That
want
is
to pay
another
Lamar
scenario.
Jackson, if the Ravens don't want to pay Lamar, would you trade 2 firsts for Lamar right now?
All right, so let me ask you something. Nikki. Before I answer that question for you. Let's play this scenario. Dolphins make the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
They lose the playoff game because Tua isn't able to execute.
Get out.
Does everybody else stay intact and they say we're going after Lamar?
Yes.
Yes,
Or-
we're changing the
or
quarterback.
Any quarterback that's good. Yeah, 100,000%.
And it depends.
Do you
And
still
it depends
think the
on-
Dolphins keep everybody else in check? Greer,
Yes.
I mean,
Daniel.
yeah, like in a perfect world where contracts go smoothly, they would keep everyone. Yes.
Yeah. And it depends on what they're going to do with the coach. Now, if they're going to keep the coach, they're going to keep everyone intact because Greer has done very well these last 2 off seasons. You know, the one with the 3 number ones, okay, he struck out on that one. We'll say, okay, that was bad. And then this year, you know, trading the 5 picks, I look at it as just giving up a 1 and a 2. The fact that we didn't have to give up one of the other ones in next year's draft to get Tyreek Hill, that is a steal because look at it. You're saying what? Well, we gave up 5 picks. Okay, we gave up a 1, a 2, and 2 number 4s and a 6. Now tell me who we going to draft at number 4 in the 4th round that's going to start on this team right now.
Or be a number 1 receiver in the NFL. It's Tyreek and Devontae. They're 1A, 1B.
Right. So
who are we going to get at 29? I mean,
exactly.
Look at the last late first-round draft pick we had with no immunity. He doesn't even play.
Right.
You think I care that we gave that up for a top 1 or 2 receiver in the NFL? Come on, man.
Yeah. So the fact is that I just look at it as us giving up the number 1 and number 2 because the 2 4s and the 6 would not have made the squad, period. So, and we were able to hold on to Kansas City wanted one of those number 1s in next year's draft. The fact that Chris was able to hold on to that was what makes this steal, because that's what the national media is talking about. Oh, they gave up so many picks. I mean, you know, Tyreek Hill is going from Patrick Mahomes to Tua Tagovailoa. Okay, that may be the case for this year. If Tua doesn't ball out, we're going to get somebody in here who can get the ball to Tyreek Hill. And he signed a 3-year deal, right? It's 3 years, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so he ain't going nowhere. So we'll be able to find a quarterback. If it doesn't work out this year, we'll find a quarterback to get him the ball. And then we'll draft one next year, because the draft class next year of quarterbacks is much better than this year. I said that earlier.
See, it's funny. Jorge said no positive thoughts today, Steven, buddy. I knew, like,
no, we were positive.
The perception is always going to be looked at. If you're talking about the future, you're being negative to the present.
That's a nice quote.
Well, I mean,
I don't think that's a fair or accurate representation to the conversation that we're having, but I understand why fans perceive it that way. I think the conversation is prevalent and relevant because it's legit. Lamar is not, the Ravens do not want to re-sign him to a long-term deal. That's a factual statement. He has ties to South Florida, right? Those two things happen right there. If Tua does not have a good year, which we are just playing devil's advocate here, it
doesn't mean we're any less of a fan.
Yep.
Right.
I think it's a legit conversation to say, well, Tom Brady doesn't come here. Does Lamar come here? Lamar's going to be in that conversation. Don't think he won't be. Because if the Dolphins were all in on getting Tyreek Hill this offseason and find it in their internal conversations after this season for whatever the reason, you know what? I really think that we just need to find a quarterback, and we do that, we're going to win. We're going to win. If they do that, and that's the case, everybody's on the table. Everybody's
Give me 1 second,
on the
Steven.
table.
I'll be right back. Give me 1 second.
Everybody's on the table. I don't think but people don't want to talk about that. And you get labeled as a Tua hater or a Tua-neer. You get labeled as, okay, you're being not positive. I think we've been very positive this morning, personally. Do you not agree with that, Nikki?
Yeah, I'm very positive, very optimistic. Like you said, I hope Tua throws for 4,030 touchdowns. I'd rather that. I
think it goes back to the hope, that word hope.
Yes.
And we're why is it okay that I'm not confident in it? I don't have a reason to be confident with that. I hope that it's going to be good, but I'm not confident.
Well, we've always had hope, We've always had hope, and hope always dies, like that video I made. Every year we have hope. We really think like it's going to come to fruition, and it dies every single time. And that's why I feel like we're entitled to give fair criticisms and not be all flowers and rainbows and fairies and this and that, because we've seen the harsh reality of being a Miami Dolphins fan. We've seen that hope get crushed. You know what I'm saying? So it's hard for me to always be
then why talk about it? Then why talk about it when the present is not related to Lamar? Fair statement, but we just spent 20, 30 minutes talking about the present.
Yeah.
How much more? So here's a reality, okay?
We were sounding like homers for you know what I'm saying?
Number one, we're all in agreement. The Dolphins this year, this offseason, best offseason in the last 20, 25 years. Agreed?
Agreed.
Yeah. Agreed?
Best trade since Ricky Williams.
Best trade since Ricky Williams and arguably the best offseason all around for the Miami Dolphins.
Correct.
There's no argument there. Would you also go on to say that this McDaniel offense sounds pretty exciting with all the speed that it has? Agreed.
100%.
100%.
We're all in agreement here. Would you also go on to say that, hey, we haven't really lost anybody on defense? That defense could still be just as good as it was in that last 8 games. Agreed?
100%.
Agreed.
No negativity. But that's where the conversation ends. All we could do at this point is it's March 28th. I can't say anything else except I hope that it's going to be good. I hope that the Miami Dolphins are making the correct decisions, and I can't wait for the season to start. I got 4 or 5 months before the season starts. So I think it's okay to talk about what ifs. That is the point of a morning show sometimes.
Well, here.
Right.
What if?
Or the question marks on the team. And the question marks on the team start with the quarterback. And then we could talk about the center. We could talk about the right tackle. And we can talk about the middle linebacker.
Yep.
And those are probably the weakest positions on the team.
But then you're labeled as you're talking about the negative stuff on the team. You're not talking about the.
So
I thought it was funny.
Yeah, and I just think those are the improvements. Since I mentioned those things, since they said they're not done and they can improve the center. You know, if they were able to bring in a Wagner at linebacker, you know, if they've got money, if they still got some money to spend, I think they still got a few people they can cut too. So, you know, you get a Wagner and middle linebacker, upgrade that position, maybe get a veteran pass rusher to play the edge, and then just try to figure out what you're going to do. Are you maybe move Robert Hunt to right tackle? Because when he played as a rookie at right tackle, he was just fine there. And then you improve the middle of the line or keep him at right guard and decide whether or not you're going to go with Eichenberg, you're going to go with Jackson, or you're going to bring in a veteran right tackle. So those are the decisions they really have to make going forward. And you can find veterans that have experience and don't have as many question marks as the people that are playing in the positions right now. That's not negative. That's just positive thinking going forward on what's today, March 28th.
I think there's only so much that you could talk about when it comes to the Miami Dolphins. I think we're all positive and really excited for what the future may hold. I also feel that, granted, now this is the extreme. I've never seen an offseason like this before. I've been sold on these types of goods in the past. I've been sold on, so I'm going to be a little hesitant here. I'm going to be a little hesitant. I'm going to creep and crawl my way up to, poking my chest out because I'm not confident yet. And there's nothing wrong with me feeling that way. You're not going to make me feel bad, Jorge. That's what you're not going to do. You're not going to make me feel bad. God. See what I got to deal with every day, gentlemen?
It's okay, man. We're here for you.
Every morning. All right, Miami Sports Music's #1 Miami fan morning show. Clap Blockers, Lorenzo, Ice-T, Thomas, Nikki Smokes is in the building. Gentlemen, let me ask you another question. J.C. Tretter is somebody that I would love to see the Dolphins go after. I don't think it's going to happen because, I would thought that it would have already happened. But with that being said, guys like Honey Badger, guys like J.C. Tretter, Bobby Wagner. I think Bobby Wagner hasn't signed yet. I'm pretty sure he hasn't. Why are some of these guys still on this wait game to signing? What do you think that is all about? Because I'm really I don't understand it.
Well, these guys are all veterans. You know, they know the process. They know they have time to make their decision. They want to go to the best situation. They want to get the best contract and situation that they could get. So these are all experienced guys that are in no rush to make a decision. I'm sure the Dolphins have made an offer that's under the table, or they just haven't leaked out to sources or anything like that for these guys, and I'm sure other teams have too, but them as veterans just they're not ready to commit yet, and they're just weighing all their options. I think that's the only reason why we haven't heard anything.
Yeah, and this has been a very long off season, especially when the Super Bowl goes in. It's going much later into later into the year. You have to look into that because free agency is going on, and before we know it, the draft is going to be here. So a lot of players, a lot of teams right now are just waiting to see how they got to still have some money to be able to sign their draft choices. And the Dolphins are not necessarily going to have that problem because they only got they have a third, a fourth, and a fifth, right? They had two fourths, right? Third, fourth,
and a seventh.
Yeah, so they still have 5 draft choices in this draft, so they still have to keep some money to sign whoever they're going to bring in. So I think that's why things have basically just slowed down. And the Dolphins do have a couple. They did cut Allen Hurns, they cut Jesse Davis, freed up some money, and Eric Rowe is still on the team, right?
Eric Rowe's still on the team, and I personally think that whatchamacallit, TVP is on his way out. I think they're going to trade him.
Who again?
Market Devontae Parker.
Yeah, but what are we going to get for Devontae?
Well, that I think is the problem within itself. Is what we're going to get in for him. Is it worth whatever we would pay in a salary cap or whatever?
Right. I think we have to. I think we save more.
I can see you have no fear points and try to stay positive. I do. Thank you for it.
Yeah, I like having Devontae on the roster because we've dealt with so many, and we still got Lynn Bowden on the roster. So we've dealt with so many injuries from the wide receiver. We've dealt with so many injuries on the wide receiver core over the last few years. I want to have as many bodies as possible because I'm so tired of every season we're dealing with injuries from our wide receivers. So I would say hold on to him. I think if you cut him after June 1st, we save there's less dead cap, or we save more money under the cap if we wait until June 1st, or keep him on the roster, wait till the draft is going on. So now you have something tangible to play with if you're trying to jump back into the second round. Hey, we'll give you, our 4th round from next year and Devontae Parker to move into the 3rd round of this year's draft or the 2nd round draft choice. You got players that you can use as tangible assets to maybe jump back into the 2nd round and get maybe one of the linemen from Boston College. You know what I'm saying? So that's why everyone was complaining. How come we're not cutting all of these people? Greer is like looking at these players as assets that you can throw in when you're trying to wheel and deal.
Do you know how much Tyreek's counting against the cap this year? Like 6.7 or 8 million? Yeah, that you get arguably the best player in football for 6 point whatever million. That's crazy to me.
Right.
Is that not crazy?
It's crazy. Wow. And to have Byron Jones restructure his contract, write him a check, give him some money, and exactly.
He said, I restructured my contract just so I could get burnt. Just so I could get burned by Tyreek Hill every day in practice.
That was hilarious. And look at how much energy Tyreek has just brought to the entire organization, the entire fan base, the entire city. I mean, people are now already playing Madden with Tyreek Hill on the Dolphins. That's a game changer. He takes, like I said earlier, he takes the safety out of the box. Now you're going to have 2 people cover him whenever he's on the field, because Sicky's going to be running one-on-one down the seams, and then you're going to have Waddle all over the place, in and out, slots, straight down the field. Whatever patterns you want to write for him or arrange for him, he's going to be able to be all over the place. I mean, it's just crazy. We were
talking about the draft. Have you guys seen the Dolphin draft hats? They have to be the ugliest hats we've ever came out with.
I haven't seen them yet. Let me look it up.
We just need to bring back the old logo. That's all I'm saying.
Dolphins draft.
They are hideous. Get it pulled up so that people could see. They are terrible.
Does that look somewhat like what the Heat did with their uniforms?
I don't know.
The same type of fonts?
Yeah, it's just an L.
I have to check it out.
I'm trying to look it up.
And I'm usually a big draft hat guy. Like, I usually like them a lot. This one is just, I don't even know what
Send
I
me
would
the
wear
link.
this for.
Send me the link so I can pull it up because
It's on my Twitter. It's on my page.
Oh, you have a Twitter? I'm just playing.
Yeah, someone else said they're hideous.
They're so bad.
All right, here we go.
Yep, but we just need to go back to the old logo and the old
Amen.
throwbacks.
You know, I was trying to get that trending on Twitter last week.
I saw that.
Can I be real with you?
You like them, don't you?
I like them, bro. They remind me of the old 90s looking hats, bro. I like them. I would rock that. Everybody knows I love a
That
good
doesn't even look like the aqua we wear, though. Like
Bro,
that's like
like
Miami Heat Vice vibe. That's not even like dolphin colors.
Bro, I'll be real with you, man. I like them. I like them. That's just me. But I'll wear some craziness.
Is the new logo on the hat? I don't even see the new logo on there.
It's on there. It's on the side, though.
It's on the side. Okay.
Oh, it's on the back. I'm sorry.
It's on the back. You know what that means, though? That means we're probably not changing the logo, though.
Hey, well, good thing not many people are going to have to wear that, and they're not going to see it in the first round of the draft. So
No
got him.
That's probably why they're like, oh, only 4 people are going to see this.
He said, Level 2 News said, that's it. Kick Steven off the show. He likes those. Bro, I love a good fit. I love a good hat. I think it's a cool hat.
Yeah.
Y'all just don't have no taste. That's what it is.
It's Dolphins. You know we'd wear it regardless.
You know what, man?
It's Dolphins.
Lorenzo, I got Mr. Hip Hop on yourself. Teron Armstead's a rapper, man. T. Stead.
Oh, really?
Yes.
You got some of his bars?
I don't want to get flagged on YouTube.
Oh, okay. Okay.
But I always think it's exciting.
Wait, Nikki was talking earlier? Come on, man. We didn't get flagged then.
See, I'm talking about like copyright infringement and stuff.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
But no, supposedly he's got like I've heard a couple of stuff. He's got some skills, man. I always find it funny when it's funny. We go back to sports, and what's the first name you think of when it comes to rapper, sports player? Deion Sanders, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then the next one, it was always hilarious to me. Although being a big mental health advocate, I know there was so much more going on with it. Ron Artest, when he was trying to drop his album during all his craziness.
Well, I would think of Shaq before that.
Well, Shaq did too. Yeah.
Yeah, Shaq. Shaq had a nice little run, man, during that time with the Fushnikins and all that stuff. He had a nice little run. His music probably it got more radio play than any other athlete rapper that I can think
I didn't
of.
even know Prime used to rap.
Yeah. Oh, dude.
Oh, yeah.
He
had bars.
I'm gonna say he had a platinum record, if I'm correct.
No way.
And that's when he was hanging out with Hammer a great deal during that time.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's wild.
See,
what about Antonio Brown?
That's why I got to get Uncle Luke on here.
Y'all like Antonio Brown's rap?
AB's a rapper. I didn't know this.
Pit from the Palace, baby.
Oh my God! Please no. You know what's funny?
Something like that.
Yeah, but we got definitely give Solo decent props because he went straight to the studio after that Tyreek Hill signing.
Killed it. Did you all hear that? Did you?
Yeah, that was dope.
I'll play it again because that was.
Yeah. He was talking about those draft picks. Some draft picks. We don't need those draft picks. We got Tyreek Hill.
Shout out to Slim Shady Canes. He's a Buccaneers fan, but he's cool. We like Slim Shady Canes here. I get it. It's the off season, and the NFL is a lot of what ifs. But this morning's show sounds a lot closer to conspiracy theory to me. Whoa!
Wow. He must have. He didn't hear the first. How long we been on?
Slim Shady.
Yeah. He must not have heard the first 45 minutes of the show.
I'm not gonna lie. I do like a good conspiracy theory, but I think there's a big difference between conspiracy theory and what ifs. That's just me personally.
Yeah, but it's good for us to talk about it because it's things that people are discussing. It's out there. So for us to avoid it wouldn't make sense. We're sitting here, we might as well talk about it. And if we think there's some truth to it, based on the information that some of us may have been receiving, and now that I got Sam and Pat on the coaching staff and I can pick up the phone and call them, find out what's going on, I can do that. That's fam.
Running by Antonio Brown, most fire bars ever, EM Baller said. Shout out to you guys for donating to the channel, by the way. Shaq got Grammys and platinum plates. He does have a Grammy. I forgot.
Shaq's a
about
great DJ, by the way.
And he won an Oscar last night. He won an Oscar last night.
For what?
For the documentary with Stephen Curry. I forget the name of it. He won an Oscar last night. He and Stephen Curry.
Bro, Shaq is the man. He does it all.
Yep.
Boy,
Shaq's probably one of my
I can't
favorite
remember the name of the doc. It was a basketball documentary, though.
Dude,
Let's see if I can look it up.
It's so good.
We could have been superstars. That's a great one. Did you see Javon Holland wanted to come out to I think it's called Pepas. I don't know how to pronounce it, but that song is fire. And all the Dolphin players there are rallying around behind it. If you heard it, you would know. The Heat play it at every home game. Victor Oladipo's going crazy. The Dolphins come out to that, we might win a Super Bowl. I'm just saying.
Hey, I think EM Baller had this earlier. Somebody donated earlier a $2 donation, but I think it's worth discussing at least. Hard Knocks, baby.
They
Hard
folded.
Knocks.
They folded.
Hard Knocks.
You want the Dolphins
Lions.
on Hard Knocks?
Nope, Detroit Lions.
Oh, Detroit Lions. I'm sorry.
It was just announced. It was announced today.
Yeah, I just saw that.
Yeah.
So I hope we get the in-season. I hope we get the in-season.
Dude, that in-season one was wild, and I could totally see the Dolphins being the in-season one this year.
Yeah, the documentary was called "The Queen of Basketball." Shaquille O'Neal and Stephen Curry win Oscar last night.
Wow.
Got lost in all the smack her around the world.
I mean, look, I want the Dolphins for the in-season Hard Knocks level 2. Noob said, yep. The content is going to be this for 6 months. Shaq talk because Miami has no picks and nothing else better to do. Hey, go ahead, guys. Go ahead and talk real quick. Yeah, give me 1 second. Give me 1 second.
Well, he's gone. It's the Smoke and Lorenzo show now.
Yeah, he left. Yeah, so I mean, yeah, well, we do have a third round, a fourth round, a fifth round, and some players that we could include in the draft to jump back into possibly the second round. You know, that guys that are still under contract, throwing a Devontae Parker and an Eric Rowe, you know, to move back into maybe the third round.
Yep,
it's possible.
The only thing is with those late picks, you can't really like pinpoint or get excited for which guy you want because at that point it's all you kind of just pick whatever's left on the board. So do you
Best
think
player.
we're going to try to address any position in there?
Solo D called me, and when Solo D calls, I got to pick up.
What'd you say, Nikki? I missed the tail end.
I was going to say, with our third round selection, because like that's our highest pick, which direction do you think we're going to go? Do you think we're going to try to get a linebacker, maybe an offensive lineman? What do you think? Which direction do you think they're going to go?
I actually think we're going to probably pick one of those players off that Boston College offensive line, you know, because the offensive line coach knows those players so well.
Remember his name.
Knows those players so well. I don't know the name of the player, but it's one of the players. I think he plays guard for Boston College, and they're talking about possibly moving him to center. You know, so I think that is pick 102 for us. So if
I want the punter too, Ariza.
The punter, that's something we made. You know, a kicker, maybe in the fifth round. That's when you go ahead and you use those picks to get players like that. Because if you don't find an offensive lineman in that position or a linebacker, those are the places of need, or an edge rusher if we don't sign a veteran just to help out. Because one of the biggest problems we had last offseason was getting pressure on the quarterback with just 4. So that's why we had to blitz so much. Now, if we say, okay, we're not going to get the edge rusher and we're not going to get the linebacker, and we decide to sign the Honey Badger, now you've got all those. And of course, when we're playing Buffalo, you got to have more than 4 people on the field. In the secondary, you're going to have 5 or 6. So therefore, then a
fourth, a fifth, and 2 sevenths.
See, so that's 5 picks. So therefore, we're not going to be down for game day 1 or day 2. You know, it won't be a big day 2, but we still will be 5 picks. We still have 5 picks. So to be able to maybe take the 6th and the 5th, put that together, move up into the third round or something like that.
Down to Miami for draft night. And then when the trade happened, I'm like, well, I'm not going to Miami now.
Yeah.
Because we're not picking anybody on night 1.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun last year, actually.
Dude, it was great. Dude, we saw each other there, I think.
Yep.
That was so much fun last year.
Was that the first time you've attended?
Yeah, so it was
Okay.
wild because we did it at the stadium.
Right.
And I went with Dolph Freaky. I went with Allie. And we had a great time. And then the next day was great too because we ended up going to she had a beach bash for the second day. And that was a lot of fun. That was a lot of fun. She's doing another beach bash, but it's not during the same weekend as the draft because the draft's in Vegas this year, and a lot of people are trying to go to Vegas for the draft.
Wow. Yeah, I normally go every year, but because of COVID precautions, I decided not to. But I'm normally there, covering it. So, but the draft parties are a lot of fun, and the Dolphins do a great job of throwing all events. Tom Garfinkel does an amazing job with all the things that are associated with the business side of the Miami Dolphins. I mean, if you've seen the practice facility, the new one, it is amazing. It is incredible. And I just imagine what these new free agents, how they felt when they walked into that building. Like you saw Mike McDaniel when he walked into the building, he's walking down the hallway and he's seeing, all these former Miami Dolphins. That is something that will sell other free agents. And you better believe Tyreek Hill has been in the ear of the Honey Badger, like, yo, dog, this might want to be someplace you may want to come. You know what I mean? So I know he talked to Pittsburgh over the weekend. Has he had conversations with us yet? As of yet? Anyone know?
I think he's already had conversations with us, but the money supposedly isn't right.
Okay.
Can't get the money to work out. Daddy Dean saying this morning, Honey Badger said he was upset about not being signed already. I'm going to try to look for that on Twitter right now just to see what I can find. Because
he fits into the scheme of defense that we want to play. And the thing is, with Brian Flores now being the linebackers coach in Pittsburgh, are they selling him the same thing? Are they going to adopt some of those things that Brian Flores implemented with this Miami Dolphins defense in Pittsburgh? Has anybody heard anything about interactions with Flores and Mika Fitzpatrick?
Oh my God, I would love to know what that conversation was like.
Don't we play Pittsburgh this year?
We do.
I think we do.
We play the entire AFC.
I think it's in Pittsburgh too.
Yeah. I get some people on the chat. I'd like to talk about this. Looking at next year's schedule, because of all of the elite quarterbacks in the AFC, take a look. I did sometime last week at how many elite quarterbacks our defense is going to be facing. It is not as many as we think. We're looking at 17 games. And if I remember correctly, I think it may have been Josh Allen twice and maybe about 6 or 7 elite quarterbacks out of the 18 games that we face. Huh?
That's a lot, though, because there's not that many elite quarterbacks. So if we're playing 7 of them,
all right, you ready? You ready? All right. Yeah. So this year we play at Baltimore, which, by the way, I'm throwing a huge bash at. Both of y'all are invited to that. So come on to Baltimore for that.
Okay.
Fun times.
Lamar.
We'll call him elite, right? He's elite. Even though we did a great job on him.
Chicago Bears.
No.
At Cincinnati, Joe Burrow.
Yes.
At Detroit.
No.
Buffalo twice.
Yep. So that's 4.
New England Patriots twice.
Nope.
Jets twice.
Nope.
Cleveland Browns once.
Nope.
Deshaun Watson.
Oh, Deshaun Watson. We don't know.
We don't
he might
know
be
if he's
suspended.
gonna play. So let's say that
play.
I'm gonna hit spades on y'all. That's a 4 and a possible.
Okay.
4 and a possible.
But let's say no right now because we don't know when it's scheduled.
I'm calling it 5. I'm calling it 5 because if not, we'll always take one off. But if he plays, it's 5.
All right. 5. When I looked at it, I probably said no because he's going to be suspended at least 6 to 8 games.
Okay. Pittsburgh Steelers.
No. That's fine.
Packers.
Yes, 6.
By the way, that's at home. I pray that's a national televised game. That's going to be so Aaron Rodgers, Green Bay Packers,
Sunday Night Football.
Yeah. Love it. Minnesota Vikings.
No.
Kirk Cousins?
He's pretty good.
Elite.
He's not elite though.
Not elite.
Okay. At LA Chargers, Herbert.
Yep.
Elite. So that's 7.
Texans.
No.
Nope.
San Francisco 49ers.
No. So I was right. 7. 7. So that means 7 elite quarterbacks. The other 10 games, this defense should basically, if not dominate, be able to control those quarterbacks. Now, the only one that was kind of questionable was maybe Kirk Cousins, because we know how he can go off from time to time. I like that schedule for this particular team, because there's so many elite quarterbacks out there, and the defense, if it returns to the form that it had in the last, let's say, 8 games of the season, you throw someone like the Honey Badger on there, where this defense is going to be all over the place. It's going to cause fits for those elite quarterbacks, and especially those quarterbacks that are not.
Yeah, but we
elite.
know we can contain Lamar, so Lamar's a win. That's a dub.
Right. So that was kind of like a question mark, and then I looked at Deshaun. We don't know. He might not be. So basically,
because every time the Dolphins go to Baltimore, it ends up being a beatdown.
We manhandled them. We manhandled them 100%. But that was also the first time that we started running zero blitz the entire year. Yeah. We were 2-7 at the time. That was our Super Bowl. It was prime time in Miami.
I was there.
Rocking.
I was in the deep end.
Probably more Raven fans than Dolphin fans there.
Yeah, Lorenzo, you were there.
Yeah, I was there.
Raven fans travel, and they travel really well. They filled up Hard Rock Stadium.
The best man at my wedding. The best man.
I'm telling you, don't just count Baltimore as a free win this year in Baltimore after what we did to them. That's still a great team. Yep. Still a great head coach, great defense, and them at home. Don't act like they're not going to come out feeling some type of way because of what we did to them this year. That's not a free win, man.
Yeah, that was the beginning of
the first time, but now they know. Now they know what we're going to do. It's different.
That was the beginning of their losing streak, and they end up missing the playoffs from that. But that was good because
they're an injured football team too. If we want to talk about injuries, they are the most injured football team in the entire NFL last year. I mean, they were signing guys on Tuesday.
They're running back
them on Sunday.
129, I believe, is the section.
It is, because I sat 130. I was right next to them.
Dude,
well, we owed that to the Ravens because of the beatdown they gave us.
If y'all are a diehard Dolphins fan, okay, which most of you are because you watch the show, I will go as far to say if you've never watched a game in the deep end, you have to go at least one time. Now you're going to stand, but it's Lorenzo. Is there nothing like it's crazy there, right?
It's a great sight to see as a Dolphin fan. The deep end. Now the chairs are still there, right? The chairs are there, right? But the deep end. For those that don't know, I do sports for the Sports Brothers, and we're freelancers, so I get to watch the game from the best place.
The sidelines.
I'm on the sidelines with my camera, so I'm taking pictures. So there's not a time that I don't come past the deep end. I got to get a group shot, and those guys are cheering throughout. And big shout going out to Papa Pump, because I used to sit right next to Papa Pump in our section, and we would never leave the game until the clock struck 0. And the deep end does the same thing. So if you lie,
I'm watching an old school Monday night game.
Go. The orange jerseys?
Orange jerseys.
Yes.
And there's a shot of you and Papa Pump on ESPN during the game going like this.
Winding it up
2 or 3 times.
Yeah.
And I'm watching this thing because somebody sent me, dude, check out this game. So I'm watching this game, and all of a sudden I said, oh, that's Lorenzo. That's Papa Pump. What? And it's so funny because, like, I was watching the Miami University of Miami basketball game yesterday. They had such a great run, by the way. Such a great run. It's so sad that they lost. But I want to say there was somebody that I'm sorry I cannot think of your name for the life of me. But they showed him, and it's so funny now because anytime I watch anything Miami, when they put the camera to the fans, I know a lot of people now. So I'm like, oh, snap, I know that dude.
Mm-hmm.
So it's too funny because Papa Pump's been there for years doing always on the telecast. And then, obviously the deep end has Gorilla Luke and look, even Slim Shady Kane says, shout out to the West End Zone crew. What you know about the West End Zone crew?
Hey, I know they're all a bunch of lunatics down there, and I love the energy that they bring, but they might have to consider. Well, not consider. I just don't know why they picked that section, especially now with the roofing. You're just getting beamed by the sun the entire game. You get no shade.
Yeah.
You get no shade.
Luke,
And in September, I don't care. I know they're fired up, but in September and October, they are miserable. And you cannot tell me otherwise, because sitting in that sun, if you sit on the away side at a Dolphin game, oh my, you might as well stay home, brother, because it is
terrible.
so hot. You are
It's
miserable.
And you know, Gorilla Luke and Gorilla Josh, those are full gorilla costumes. So it's 110 degrees, 120 degrees.
I don't know how they don't pass out.
Luke has before.
Yeah, 100%.
And look, shout out to Luke. Boy, these guys they party too. Like they can throw some down, and so they're drinking before the game. But at halftime, you'll see Luke and Josh take off their gorilla mask and chug these frozen Gatorade bottles, and they chug them, and they're melted by the time it gets to halftime, but they're still cold. And dude, I could never do it. I love the guys to death, but there's no way I could ever do it.
I moved back a couple rows because of the sun. So I was sitting 130 row 7. So the first half of the game, I would be getting drilled by the sun.
You're on the visitor side, Nikki?
No, I'm in the end zone. I'm 130.
Okay.
They're 129.
Okay.
So, but the first 10 rows, you're only covered for the second half of the game.
Yep.
So I want to be covered the whole game. So I moved back to row 16. Like I don't care. I'd rather sit further back a couple rows and not get hit with that sun. Cause I'm telling you, man, like that sun early, it'll eat you alive. That's why I tip my cap to those guys, because I sat on the away side one time and my dad had heat stroke, and I'll never sit there again.
Yeah,
Never.
I'm in section 154.
You're in 130. You're in 130. You're still in the sun too.
No, if you move back, because you get covered.
That's
130 gets covered.
What row are you?
Now I'm 16, but last year I was 7. So earlier in the year, like September, October, you're getting hit with that sun for like the first 2 quarters, and then as the year goes on, the sun like starts moving a little bit, and then you're covered most of the game. But I wasn't taking any of that, because those first 4 home games are brutal. So I moved my butt way back. I'm being covered. I'm good on that.
Yeah, and I'm in section 154. We are right where the entrance to where the Dolphins come out, where their tunnel is there. So we're right over there, and we get no sun whatsoever. We have not seen the sun since they put the covering over. But back in the day where, Stephen is talking about, we were a little closer to the goalposts in, I think that's section 101 or 102. We was in row 1. We would get beat down with that heat. So it has an effect on the fans as well as the team. So that's why in September, we need to be running the rock. And McDaniel needs to be running the rock down the opposing team's defense throats. So by the third quarter, fourth quarter, they are done.
That's why you can't start slow either. You got to take advantage of it, because imagine if it was flipped and teams are coming down to South Florida in September for playoff games and things like that. I mean, we would have the biggest advantage of all time. Unfortunately, it doesn't work that way.
Of all time. And what's funny is because like September and October, I always want our games to be 1:00 games.
Mm-hmm.
Give me 1:00 home Sunday games in September and October.
They're always 1:00. I don't think we've ever had a 4:00 game.
We have. I think
maybe last year we might have had a 4:00.
Yeah,
no.
it was. I don't know if it was last year.
I think our first game last year was Buffalo.
Yeah, it was at Buffalo, and Buffalo ran the ball.
Well, we played good the first half. We were competitive.
Oh yeah, no, and that's when we went for it on 4th down. We didn't kick field goals, and I think the score at halftime was 12-0.
Yeah,
and that's when Devontae Parker dropped that pass in the end zone when it hit him right in the hands. I was just angry with the fact that this guy catches 50-50 balls, and here you are dropping this touchdown pass in the end zone. And that game, we were, like you said, Nikki, we were very competitive, but we kept going for it in that game. We kept going for it on 4th down, but that's a game that too got hurt. Yeah, he got hurt, and Jacoby came in. So that's when I guess Flores figured he kind of panicked like he did in the Jacksonville game and started going for it on fourth downs, and we didn't convert them, and Buffalo ended up blowing us out in the second half. But that's was the game where they started running the ball, and our defense got tired at home. And they had on the dark jerseys, and they just, you know, I don't even think Josh Allen had a big game.
He didn't.
Yeah,
I don't think that he did. We were it was 0-3 going into the third in the Bills' second game. You're right, 100%. And so
in the second game, yeah,
that was in Buffalo though.
We should have been winning at halftime.
It was only 3-0 at halftime. I'm sorry, I didn't see the full quote.
Well, remember we got down to take the lead or tie it, and then Gesicki came in motion. We snapped the ball off of him, and then
that's right. We
were doing those trick plays.
That's right. It was 0-3 at that point, right?
Yep.
And we were driving to take the lead.
It was 6-0 or 0-3. Point is, we could have tied it or took the lead going into half.
I remember that. Yeah. And we just turned over the ball like the Miami Heat did against the Brooklyn Nets.
Hey, Steven, I want to answer a comment real quick I see here. So Kane's 1989, he says, why not put a retractable roof over the stadium? Well, that would take away our home field advantage. We want those guys to bake in the sun and just get absolutely cooked up because the home team, they're covered in the shade. Mm-hmm. And I'm glad Kane's 1989 brought this up because you guys need to get your own stadium. Get out of the Hard Rock Stadium. Leave our field alone. You're absolutely destroying it. You guys need to get closer to campus. Get your own stadium. Stop ruining our field. Go get your own thing because you guys can't even feel the
you really feel, Nicky. Don't hold back. Tell them how you feel.
Get out of there. Scram.
Tell them how you really feel, Nicky. Wow. Shots fired.
I hate that, though. They tear up the field, and then our field looks terrible. It's like
3 years ago. 3 years ago or 4 years ago, they would have a soccer game on Friday night or a concert, one of the two.
Stupid.
They would have the college game on Saturday and the Dolphins game on Sunday, right? And by the time that we got to the field on Sunday, the field was demolished.
Yeah.
It was in shambles. And so they kept on trying to figure out, well, what can we do to make it better? So they brought grass in. But the grass didn't work because, the sun, that Miami Heat didn't work well with the sun. So what, if I'm correct, and please correct me if I'm wrong, what we ended up doing is we took grass from the South America and seeds and made our own grass farm here somewhere in South Florida. So we grow our own grass here in South Florida and then move it into the stadium. But it's already dealing with the Miami Heat, so it's used to it. So it's gotten better over the last year and a half. But Nicky's right. If they have a college game on Saturday, by the time that Sunday game comes, it's so rough. It's so rough.
And when I walk out on the field pregame, you can see how the sidelines are just beat up. That is just destroyed. And I was like, oh, that's right. The Canes played here yesterday.
Slim Shady just called you out. How many years were the Dolphins being squatters in the Orange Bowl? Well, he called you out, Nicky. Called you out.
Dude, I wasn't even born when the Orange Bowl was there, dog. I wasn't even born.
Were the Dolphin squatters or were the Canes squatters at that point?
I'm not even a Hurricanes fan. I'm a Gator. I go to the University of Florida.
Boo this man. Boo. I'm going to have to kick you off the show, Nicky, over here talking about the
You
game.
can. You guys got to prove yourself first. I mean, we had a bad year last year, but.
Hey, they made the improvements on the coaching staff.
I do love me some Tim Tebow, man.
Great guy.
Love me some Tim Tebow. There was a really cool video this weekend that I reposted of him hugging somebody. I don't want to say if he had special needs or Down syndrome or something like that, and I apologize if I got that wrong. But it was, he's a grown man that has special needs, and the smiling, like Tim Tebow might be the nicest person in the world. He literally is Jesus in cleats. I don't care what anybody says. He is the nicest human being I love him.
Well, he's got the spirit of Jesus in him, and I wish we had more people like that. That's all, man. He's a great person. He's got a great heart. More people acted like that, this world would be a much better place.
No doubt. I agree with you.
Tim Tebow would never done what Will Smith did last night.
Never. just like, have y'all seen like some of the breakdowns of it? It's so, all right. So there's a really cool baseball guy called John Boy Media.
Another good segue, Steven.
and I love John Boy. John Boy is a big baseball guy. He does a lot of cool. So this is about 4 minutes long, but I think it's funny watching. We'll do a reaction video. That's what we'll do right here. And
hey, wait, Steven, honestly, I got to run. So I just wanted to thank you for having me on, Lorenzo. It's been an absolute pleasure. I always love coming on. I can't wait to come on again. Thank you, guys. Seriously.
Nikki, man, tell everybody where they can find you, man.
Hey, if you want to find me, you go on Twitter at Nikki Smokes. You can find me on the website, the internet, thesmokesports.com, Twitter, like I said, at Nikki Smokes, and Apple Podcasts, The Smoke Show. It's a little Miami Dolphins podcast going on. Would love to have you guys on as guests. If you guys ever want to join, let me know. And
let me know, man. I'm in.
All right, sounds good.
Dude. Hey, I want to remind you too. Hey, real quick before you go, just remember.
All right, Nikki.
Tonight, the Dolphins YouTubers platform. We got a hashtag Dolphin Chat. Dougly Do Wrong, TD Fins Talk, Big E, myself, and maybe a special surprise guest coming in at 9:15 tonight. Dude, if you're not doing anything tonight, just watch, man. It's gonna be fun. It's gonna be awesome. Share the content. It's gonna be great, Nikki.
All right, let's get it. I'll see you boys later.
Okay,
Nikki.
Hey, Steven, I got to run at about 5 myself too.
All right, well then let's do the breakdown of this thing then, because I think it's too funny to not do. So let me bring this in. Okay, so here we go. This is John Boy Media, and I just think it's too funny to not talk about or listen to.
It's the Oscars. Everybody's laughing and having a great time, and Chris Rock's on stage and he's making jokes about all the people in the crowd and poking fun out of them, and Will Smith's there. He's smiling and having himself a grand time. And then Chris Rock's going to make a joke about Will Smith's wife, Jada.
Jada, I love you. G.I. Jane 2, can't wait to see it. All right?
And if you don't know what that joke is, G.I. Jane's a movie with Demi Moore where she had to shave her head, buzz cut, and Jada Smith has recently come open to the public about her struggles with hair loss and alopecia.
Now, at this point, I can only laugh. And y'all know I've been struggling with alopecia.
So at this point, she can only laugh. She's been struggling with it. She came out. It's a big deal. And so let's hear the joke again.
G.I. Jane 2, can't wait to see it. All right?
And Will Smith accidentally finds it hilarious.
So real quick, I'm going to pause this. Can you hear me, Lorenzo?
Yes, very well.
All right, and you can hear the video, right? You see Will Smith's reaction here. He's laughing at the joke, right? Watch this. This is John Boy's breakdown is really good. If you like sports, he's got like really great videos of this stuff with sports when like an umpire's being thrown out or a fight happens or something happens on the sideline. It's great. You got to watch it.
Just big old open mouth laugh, head chuckle galore. One more time.
G.I. Jane 2, can't wait to see it. All right?
Will's laughing it up. Uh-oh. Jada does not like the joke. She stares some daggers Chris Rock's way. Sometime right after this scene, she's going to turn to Will, give him the same look, and that's going to change the way this goes.
That was a nice one. Okay.
So real quick,
that was
right
a nice
there,
one. Okay.
He knew with that statement, he knew what it was. He knew what time it was, Lorenzo.
He knew what
he knew he made the wrong joke.
He knew that. I don't know if Chris knew she was dealing with alopecia. I don't know if he knew that.
I just want to state for the record, I don't think that should have been he has a writing team.
True. Right.
And the Oscars themselves had to approve every joke. So I'm not just going to put that because, again, I think that comedians have no filter.
True.
And I don't necessarily have a problem with that because I love comedy and I think you can find the humor in anything, death included. But I do think that his reaction to this was, oh no, they didn't take it the way I was hoping that they were going to take it. Is what
but you have to remember the fact that they have had exchanges in the past.
You're right.
So even though he's coming in there, why are you coming at Jada again when the last time you hosted the Oscars, you came at her and you got a little backlash from Will?
No doubt. No doubt. All right, we'll keep on going.
Okay, forget about it. Let's just move on and let's let this die.
I'm out here.
So he was ready to move on.
Right.
Oh, wow.
All right, first thing.
Pause that. Can you back it up for a second, Stephen? I want to ask you.
He's going to replay it. He's going to replay it.
Hold on. I want to ask you what this. Chris says, and then he says something. And I almost thought he said Richard, right? As well as walk. Richard. Did you hear that? He's like, Richard. Okay, go ahead. Back it up again.
Do you think that could have been a security guard's name? I don't know.
No, that's King Richard is who Will played in the movie.
That's right.
Make sure Richard.
So he knew Richard's character would do something like this.
I don't know. I thought my ear wants to hear Richard because I feel sometimes actors.
Mr. Locke says he calls him Richard.
He does. So see, I didn't know that because sometimes as actors, you still internalize the character that you have played, right? King Richard would do something like this, and that's why. Right, and that's why he said basically apologized to Venus and Serena because he said.
We'll get to that in a second.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
All right. Do you think that was all right? So some people want to say that was a staged hit.
No, not at all.
I don't think so either.
No.
I don't think so either. I do think that he held back. I don't think that he whatchamacallit, hit him with all his might, but I think it was, dude, you gonna shut up.
No, I believe that Will could have knocked him out, but he punched him.
So at this point, everyone's like, is that real? Is that fake? What the hell was that?
Wow. Will Smith just smacked the shit out of me.
Will Smith just smacked the shit out of me. I like Will Smith's style here because I feel like this is a slap that he learned on a movie set somewhere because he really sticks it. So he goes palm out and then he really follows through like Karate Kid. Like that just doesn't seem like a normal slap. Great. It seems like a movie
like
set.
Karate Kid.
Full body twist, and Chris Rock just eats it. I tried to zoom in because it still seems fake at this point, but it wasn't a punch. It was a slap. And Chris Rock just eats it, and he's like, "What the hell?"
But Chris, like, watch Chris. He looks like he was ready to throw a punch back. See him right there. Oh, I'm looking at the other feed. Sorry.
People are still kind of laughing in the background, like, what the hell's going on?
Wow, dude.
Wow, dude is the ultimate response when someone overreacts to a joke. That's pretty universal. That's probably been going on for 60 years. Wow, dude. Really?
Yeah. It was a G.I. Jane joke.
Keep my wife's name out your fucking mouth.
I'm going to. Okay.
All right. So what's your reaction at that point? If you're in there and you're an actor and you're like, oh shit, this just got real, right? Lorenzo?
Yes, definitely. It's real. I mean, I was reading some of the comments here and people are like saying that it was fake, and no, Will wouldn't do that. This is at the highest part of his career. This is at the
pinnacle of his career. This is the highest award he'll ever win.
He would not do anything like that to tarnish, and then he said during his acceptance speech that Denzel said to him after he smacked Chris Rock, Denzel came to him and said something, I'm paraphrasing here, be careful.
Play it in a minute.
Oh, you got it? Okay, go ahead.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm going to. I don't want to be involved with you in any way anymore. We're good. And the whole audience goes silent now because it's like, oh my God.
Okay.
I think he's saying there, I could. And I'm like, what could you do?
Okay.
I could do it. Whatever you could do.
That was a greatest night in the history of television. Okay.
So real quick, to think the wherewithal that this is going to be the greatest moment in television history. He's not wrong. Right?
Right.
So to think about stuff that doesn't like I think this is how smart he is. What you say what you want about him, and this particular moment, good, bad, or indifferent, he knew exactly what, like, he's like, this will be the biggest thing ever in the history of television. He knew it.
Right. You knew it right then and there. Because if you watch that slap, as soon as Will completes the slap, Chris balls up his fist to react to come back with something, and he stops. And then that's when he says to himself, like, yo, I could. And, and Will has the audacity to smack him and then turn his back and walk off the stage.
Oh,
he was confident that Chris wasn't going to come back and do anything.
Too. He knew it. Like, he knew I can go up and smack him and ain't nothing going to happen after that. So he knew what type of dude Chris Rock was, or how he would react.
Right.
Because somebody said last night in the Twitter space with Uncle Luke, said that if that was Charlie Murphy, he wouldn't have done that to Charlie Murphy.
Oh, no. There's a lot of comedians. If it was Godfrey, I saw Godfrey last night.
If that was Godfrey, he wouldn't have done that to Godfrey.
No, it's a lot of comedians.
Okay. So we are here to give a documentary out, to give an Oscar.
To give an Oscar out. That's the only flaw in the whole thing from Chris Rock. Everything else he did was amazing. If he would have nailed the next line, it would have been great, but he's not here to give a documentary out. That would be weird, unless he's a producer somewhere. I just want to show you that after the punch, as far as we can see, Chris Rock never touches his face, never rubs it, never nothing. So, I mean, he comes out the big winner if this is real. I also love this look behind stage, like, we're just going to, you guys aren't going to stop or anything. We're just going to, right? We're
going to keep going. We're not going to cut to a commercial
as I had planned. Give the documentary out. All right. Sounds good.
So real quick, while I'm pulling up the other thing, let me do that real quick. So last night I'm in the Twitter space with Uncle Luke, and they brought out Dara. I wish I could remember her last name. Matter of fact, I can. It was Dara Cook. Dara Cook, Dara Cook. Dara Cook was the head writer, or the head person, executive producer of the MTV Awards for like 9 years. And so she was on the Twitter space last night, and I got to ask her a couple of questions. And she was the head person the year that Kanye got up on stage, took the microphone away from Taylor Swift and said, "Hey, Taylor, I'm sorry, but Beyonce should have won it, blah, 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 blah." Mm-hmm. She said that he got escorted out of the building for that.
Right.
And that that there was probably a conversation about that, but because the Oscars knew that he was going to win the award, that didn't happen, and that's the only reason that it didn't happen.
Right.
So I thought that was a very interesting observation from that Kanye got escorted out for taking the phone away. Will Smith straight assaulted somebody and nothing happened. Nothing. Is that not crazy to think about?
Yeah, that's crazy. And when I hear the assault, it's like, yes, it was an assault, but in the hood, it's just like, I heard Chris Rock. Chris Rock ain't gonna press any charges. We're not gonna do that. We'll handle it some other way. You know what I mean? So that's what happens in the hood. So when I hear the assault, it's just like, okay, yeah, legally, right. But it's like, Williams. I'm going to get you back some way, other way, form or fashion, or we're going to have to squash this, But I want to see Will come out and definitely give Chris Rock an apology. He needs to give him an apology.
I think it works both ways. All right, here's the speech, because I think the speech plays a factor into this too.
Mm-hmm.
Richard Williams,
Jason Momoa looking GQ, son.
Was a fierce defender of his family. in this time in my life, in this moment, I am overwhelmed by what God is calling on me to do and be in this world. Making this film, I got to protect Ingenue Ellis, who was one of the most
She's an amazing actor. Love her.
Most delicate people I've ever met. I got to protect Sanaya and Demi, the two actresses that played Venus and Serena. I'm being called on in my life to love people and to protect people and to be a river to my people. Now, I know to do what we do, you got to be able to take abuse. You got to be able to have people talk crazy about you. In this business, you got to be able to have people disrespecting you. And you got to smile and you got to pretend like that's okay. But Richard Williams, and what I loved, thank you, D. Denzel said to me a few minutes ago, he said, at your highest moment, be careful, that's when the devil comes for you.
That's a wild statement, dude, Lorenzo.
It's facts. It's facts. That's how it works, you know.
And let me state for the record, because I don't want that to get lost in translation. Number one, I'm playing this because it's a pop culture moment. It's one of the, whether it's staged or not, which I don't think that it is.
Not at all.
It is still one of the biggest moments in pop culture over the last 25 years, last 50 years. It's that big. So I think there's, even though I'm a sports morning show, I think it's I have right to talk about it just based on how big it is. The second thing that I think is I want to say.
Well, no, just to piggyback, he's an actor in a sports movie.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, Steven. So don't feel you got to keep explaining that. Okay. He played King Richard.
Well, some people are like, "Why are you even talking about this?"
No, the movie was about tennis that he was nominated and won an Oscar for. He also played Muhammad Ali, which relates to sports as well. So forget that. And you go ahead and continue, because we've been on since 9:30. So some things that I saw in the comments, people like that don't even know what we said 2 hours ago. So because we're saying certain things here, but go ahead, Steven.
The other thing to this is I love comedy. I am a supporter of comedy. I love Dave Chappelle. I mean, people who watch the show on a morning in, morning out basis know I support Dave Chappelle. I support the freedom of speech when it comes to comedy. I don't think there's really anything off limits in the comedy world. There might be some exceptions to that rule, but I think there are some, like in comedy world, everything is open. You're open to the floor. Now, with that being said, I'm trying to put in perspective Will Smith and Chris Rock being two icons that they are for the last 25, 35 years in pop culture. And these guys have had run-ins before in the past, and they've had run-ins before about his wife in the past. This isn't a first time thing. So my thought is, behind closed doors, they're probably, and people are going to hate me using the word probably or assuming, but I'm very confident in how I feel about this. I assume that there have been conversations in the past between these two guys about whether it's through back channel or through direct contact with one another. Dude, just keep my wife's name out your mouth. Like there's no, don't even bring her in. Right?
Right.
I think the joke was funny. I don't even have a problem per se with the joke, period. What I have a problem with is Chris probably knew he shouldn't have said it because of past history with them. And as soon as he said it, he saw her reaction was negative. And I also think as a man, look, I'm going to defend my wife's honor and dignity.
Correct.
And I don't have a problem with what Will Smith did either, to a certain extent. Do I think I would have got up there and physically assaulted somebody like that? Probably not. But that's just not the person I am per se. But I think if it came down to it, like, I would stand up for my wife's honor, and it depends on the situation, right? The last thing I want to say in conjunction with that, I think that it overshadows the real deal here, which sucks completely, which is why I don't think it's staged. It is the sole reason why I don't think it's staged. Will Smith won the Best Actor award, and it has only been won 4 other times, we found out, since 1963 by a black actor, the best male lead in a movie. And it was Forrest Whitaker, Denzel Washington, Sidney Poitier, and I forget who the fourth was. And now and then Will Smith makes it the 5th. So it is hands down the highlight of his career. It's the exclamation point. It certifies him as one of the best actors in Hollywood history. I don't think that Jamie Foxx was the other one.
For Ray.
So I think that's why I don't think it's fake, because why would you even tarnish that? It's so big. And so, yeah, man, I struggle with it because I see both points, right? I'm a fan of comedian. I don't think anything's off limits.
Mm-hmm.
But I think in this particular scenario, he's had run-ins in the past. And I think when someone tells you, hey, I don't appreciate the joke, then it doesn't become funny anymore.
Right.
And even though he laughed, Will Smith laughed, because it was a funny joke. Let me just put that out there. It was from the standpoint of it came at a cost. And the moment that he turned to his wife, and his wife saw, look, any married man here, if your wife is upset, even at like 9 out of 10, I'm not going to say every man, but most of the men here are going to be like, all right, I need to address this because my wife is really pissed off about this, and I can't let that go unchecked. Do you agree? Do you disagree, Lorenzo?
I have been going back and forth with this since last night about, people are taking sides, right? And it's been very, very difficult for me to take one side over the other. One, because I've done stand-up comedy in the past, done it. Whereas you're on stage and you tell a joke about someone and it doesn't hit. And then you're like, okay, all right, so that didn't work. Boom. And I've had people like come after me after that because of the joke that I told, right? So I know what it's like to be in that position where you try to execute something on stage and you've offended someone, right? So I understand Rock's position. However, when like you've said, you did it in 2016, right? Then you put something in your special because she came out and she said something about you dating her. And because they dated, there's some information out there where she said something. Yeah, we dated, and it was kind of whack. Right. So then he said something in one of his specials, and then you come out here again, and you have to say something about someone's wife. Now we don't know whether or not he knew that she was dealing with alopecia. So,
but I stated, I'm not even going to care because that should have been on somebody to check the joke because all jokes got to get approved.
Still, when you get up on that stage like Joe Biden did the other day, you do freestyle. So we don't know what the case may be. Okay. It happens. All right. Now, the joke could have been meant as a compliment. That's why you get the, oh, G.I. Jane. Okay. And then that's what you got from Will. But then once it hits you and you think about the pain and the suffering that your wife has been going through because of what she's losing her hair And a man cannot really imagine what a woman would go through when she's in the shower and she goes to wash her hair and a clump of hair just comes out. Now she has to deal with this. And he's had to work with her through all the pain and frustration that she's had to, as a black woman and as a black man being her husband, having to support her through what she's been through. Man cracks a joke. Wait a minute. Now you're dealing with the man who has dealt with an entanglement and was an embarrassment. And it was embarrassed to the world with that entanglement. Jokes about August. When Chris could have came back and said, "Oh, he's mad in August. How's he going to feel?"
Bringing that up, I see people in the chat.
No, but it's still an issue because you got to think about what this man has had to deal with this woman and this wife, right? Now there's a show Bel Air that's on where Will Smith is basically
awesome.
It's a great show. If you think about it, I have Will's book here. I'm reading the book. Okay. So he talks about how he's not one of those street cats, where he wish he could be one of those street cats. He wish he was a fighter. And you see in Bel Air that the guy is lashing out. He's known as Will and he's lashing out, but they're putting that in there because at times they're probably about 5 times in the series, and you've seen it, Stephen, where the character the guy that's playing Will punches somebody, right? You've seen it on there where he has punched the guy in the face. Even though it's Benny Medina's story, it's still Will Smith. Now you're dealing with this man, has this guy that continuously comes at his wife. He had to deal with the August Alsina entanglement, and for years he's had to live in the shadow of Tupac Shakur.
Yep.
And all of that he's had to deal with.
Layers upon layers upon layers upon
and
layers.
He is the soft actor.
Yeah.
Tupac is the hardcore street thug life rapper. After all these years, I just want you to put yourself in his shoes for a second. It got to the point people said he's dealing with it gets to a boiling point, and at the same time, the God that's been calling him to do more. He said it in his speech. God is calling me to move people. And what happens at your highest height? When you're sitting there, moments from getting your award, the devil shows up. And that's exactly what happened. The devil showed up, the thug showed up, and he came out and he just did what that spirit that was on him told him to do.
I ain't gonna lie. Him walking up, smacking him, and then like he didn't say nothing. There were no words exchanged. I mean, after he sat down, there were words exchanged.
Yeah,
but
Tyler Perry and Denzel came and talked to him.
Yeah, well, during the commercial break, and
right.
That's being floated around on the Twitter sphere too. Look, I don't think it's scripted.
It wasn't scripted. It wasn't. He wouldn't do that.
I think it's one of the top 20th biggest moments in pop culture history over the last 25, 35 years. I think it's that big. And I had an opinion about it. So I'm sorry if I offended you sports fans this morning. I wanted to talk about it, okay? I had an opinion about it.
We've been on since 9:30, Stephen. Come on. We couldn't be on here.
I mean, seriously,
like, I mean,
15,
like, it's the biggest story.
15 minutes on my show at the beginning and 15 minutes on the end.
Right.
You got 30 minutes total about it out of a 2-hour and 42-minute sports show.
Right.
So I
don't blame Will Smith for what he did. I'm glad he stood up, and in his speech he was talking about he's about protecting people, and he was talking about protecting Angelou, protecting the other actresses, and Angelou complimented him about the fact that she was not getting paid enough, and he gave them a raise. Basically, all the actors on the set, he gave them a raise. So here you have him at this time talking about how he has to protect. And this is what he's been doing. This is nature. This is what God is calling him to do. The devil said, on your biggest stage, you're not going to be able to shine that bright. I'm going to try to show up and get you to do something. And at that one moment, the devil prevailed, and then he had to come back and apologize. Now, should he give Chris Rock an apology? Maybe not a public one. You know what I mean? Because Chris is somewhat wrong because he's been constantly going in on his wife on numerous occasions. It's not the first time. It's like, yo, why do you got to keep all the people? Why you got to keep cracking jokes on Jada? Leave her alone. Well, that's just how I look at it, man.
Miami Sports Music's #1 Miami Fan Morning Show. We're going to do final thought of the day here. We're going to wrap up a little bit. I want to remind you all a couple things before we get going and do final thoughts of the day. Tonight at 9:15 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, a live stream Dolphin Chat, Finlaw YouTubers Chat, Dougly Do Wrong, TD Fins Talk, Big E, myself, and maybe another guest or two, depending if they get confirmed through tonight or not. But we're going to have a really great live stream. We're going to take your questions. We're going to talk about running a YouTube channel and running a show and how that is and just the ins and outs of it and try to get you to see more of the person behind the scenes than what we talk about every day. And we're going to talk about Miami Dolphins football because, hey, that's what we do. That's why we started our channels and do our shows because we love this team. So be on the lookout for that. That's going to be great. At Miami Sports Music, #DolFanChat. Make sure you guys follow that tonight. Want to remind you, if you're interested in this autographed Javon Holland jersey, courtesy of ZSM Sports, donate $10 or more. If you do, or every $10 donation, every increment of $10, you will get one entry fee into a raffle, into a drawing that I will do on Friday of this week. It's been going on for a couple of weeks now. So if you donate $10, that's one entry fee. You donate $20, that's two. You donate $30, that's three. If you donate on Cash App or PayPal, I'll double your entries. So if you donate 10, I'll give you 2 entry fees. I'm trying to raise money for the channel. We're about $450, $500 away from reaching our monthly goal. So, hey, look, you get to donate to the channel, which is great and helps the channel grow. And you also get a chance to add something to your man cave, which is a Javon Holland autographed jersey. It'll have the certification, and it's courtesy of ZSM Sports. So, yeah, I think it's great. So make sure y'all get that and sign up for that today.
Javon's a beast, man.
Javon is a beast.
That boy's going to be so good, man.
He's going to be great. He's going to be great.
Yes.
Tomorrow on the morning show, Daniel Oyefusi, we're going to talk more about the owners' meetings, the Miami Herald, Dolphins report. So make sure you guys tune in for that. And then obviously on Wednesday, I'm going to have Xavier Scruggs on from ESPN and the MLB Network, the back-to-back of baseball segment where we talk about Major League Baseball and how crazy the Mets look this weekend with Jacob deGrom and Max Scherzer and how, I mean, that team's going to win it all. I really think so. But the Marlins look good too. I think they're going to make the playoffs, but it's going to be a fun summer.
Steven, are you a Mets fan?
No, honestly, okay. I'm an Orioles and Marlins fan.
Okay, gotcha.
I root for losing teams because I'm good at it. I live here in Baltimore or the Baltimore area, and so I've been going to Orioles games. I stopped being a season ticket holder last year, and then before that, I had 10 straight years of going to opening day. I didn't go last year, or obviously the year before, but before that, I had 10 straight years of opening day. Love Camden Yards. I think it's the greatest stadium in all of sports. But I got to root for the Miami Marlins too. I enjoy watching them, and when they're good, baseball's fun. And I like Don Mattingly and stuff. So, but there's so many. I could get into a whole baseball. How I think baseball, it really pisses me off. How owners. One of the things I'm going to talk about, the Orioles spent $33 million in payroll this year. And the Dodgers have spent like $340 million. There's no salary cap floor. So I don't know how owners can get away with owning a team and not putting a competitive team out on the field. And how Major League Baseball or how any professional will allow that. I think it's a disservice to the fans. I think it's a slap to the fans' face. And I could get into a whole bunch of different things and how I feel about it, but yeah, man, I just unbelievable. So, we'll talk about that. I got a whole week of great stuff coming up.
That's good, be a lot of fun, man. Congratulations. I'll be listening tonight. Pete asks, how fair is it for that man
turned girl swimmer faster than all the girls making girls quit swimming. All right, so look, you're going to start a whole conversation, Pete.
I ain't got time. I got to go.
And I ain't got time. What I will
ain't nobody
say,
got time for that today.
What I will say, Pete, is I will promise to touch on that Thursday.
It's not fair.
It is not fair.
It's not fair.
Remind me, and I will have a whole conversation about that on Thursday morning. I got stuff lined up for tomorrow and Wednesday, and then get into Dolphins talk. So they're still, and I know we're going to sign another player this week. I'm pretty sure about that. But where can everybody find you, Lorenzo? Promote your stuff, man.
Well, I have a major announcement to make this week, so I will probably next time that I'm on with you, let you know what that information is going to be. Something really good for the kid. So you can follow me on my social networks. We'll be, of course, on IG, Lorenzo Ice T, on Twitter at Lorenzo Thomas, Facebook, Lorenzo Thomas. And if you just Google 100 Hip Hop and R&B FM, you'll be able to find all the platforms that our digital radio station is on. And also just follow the Sports Brothers, Jeff Fox and myself. We're all over the city. So that's about it.
Hey, look, man, I'm really excited and blessed that you came on. Big shout out to Nikki Smokes for coming on this morning, too. I love you, man. And I'm so
me too. Thank you, man. I streamed it on my platforms, too. I didn't tell you that, but I have it on my Facebook, my Twitter, my YouTube, and my Twitch right now.
What, my stream?
Everything we've been doing for the last 2.5 hours.
You hit that like
3
button?
hours.
You hit the like button and shared?
No, I've got a way where I'm sharing it on the platforms at the same time.
Look at you.
Yeah.
Lorenzo, you're kind of a big deal.
Yeah, thank you, man. You are too, man. I'll be checking y'all out tonight.
All right, man. It'll be a lot of fun. All right,
Okay.
I appreciate it. Be good, man.
All right, peace out.
Peace out. Miami Sports Music's #1 Miami Fan Morning Show. Clock Blockers. Love y'all. This has been fun this morning. Been a lot of fun. Gonna be a lot of fun. Got a lot of big stuff coming up. Make sure you guys are supporting the channel, helping the channel grow. Make sure donate. Share. Follow me on social media. We're going to have a great show tonight. So I am super excited and looking forward to tonight. 9:15 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Dougley, TD, Big E, myself. And this isn't the only one. I'm going to do it with people down the chats. I didn't want to have a big panel. I wanted to have a very small panel with very intimate. And that's what I'll do with the future panels. I didn't want to have people on because when you have 8 to 10 people on, you get really sick and I'm gonna get out here. I love y'all. Y'all be good. I hope y'all had tonight. We'll on live. This work is acting up again. All right, I will see y'all tonight. I'll be